Good evening. Welcome to the March 12th, rescheduled from March 5th, Abington Finance Committee meeting. Tonight we have the Community Preservation Committee and the DPW with us, and we are excited to have them, and we made them wait a long time last week before having to cancel, so we're going to get right to it. So, CPC, you want to come on up? You can sit if you want. Yeah. You don't have to stand the whole time, Rachel.
I'm Rachel Collins, and I am the chair of Community Preservation.
Thanks for coming, Rachel.
And, I'm just talking to that phone now. You all have a copy of our, two of them, projects for this year. Do I need to do a little background on what Community Preservation Act is about? And
If you could do a quick one, I think everybody on the committee knows, but I think it's
Okay.
always good to go over
I
it
do wish
again
I had
for
my
people at
notes.
home.
I was definitely not as prepared this week. I was prepared last week and I couldn't make it anyway. So.
Oh, thank you.
So the Community Preservation Act was originally put together by the state, I believe in like the early 2001, 2003, and we adopted it, I believe, in 2016 here in Abington. And a portion of money from fees related to, I'm trying to think of the right word, like deeds and things like that.
Registry fees.
Those sorts of things get put into a fund.
Land transactions.
Land transactions,
et cetera,
yes, thank you,
essentially.
thank you. All go into a fund, and then the state's trust matches some of those funds. It's a different percentage every year. And the things that are eligible for CPRE projects include recreation and open space, historical, and housing. So we have been able to fund lots of historical projects over the years. We've been able to rebuild most of our playgrounds over the last couple of years, and put some money into the Housing Trust Fund to help with that, so that when projects come available, they have a supply of money to be able to do those things. So looking at this year's projects, we do have some very exciting ones. If for some reason one of those particular groups don't have any projects for that year, the money that's allotted to them is just held, so that they can then access that money for bigger projects in the coming years. So looking at the open space and recreation, we have the Green Wave Connector Trail design. So this we funded in the past, so this is just part of money going towards helping with that design. Over at Griffin's Dairy, they have asked for money to finish putting the fence up around that. Green Street Playground, Phase 2. Phase 1 has been delivered, and Phase 2, to help with that community neighborhood park, that'll be money going in for that. The Island Grove Snack Shack has been an ongoing, it's badly needed. It's just been one of those projects that's kind of taken a little bit more than we had hoped, but that'll be great when that is finished. And then out at Arnold Park, the Abington Street Hockey is going to be, had asked to come to us to partner with us to build 2 street hockey courts. One that will be resurfacing the current basketball court, and then to build another court that's specific for street hockey. And then in the process of all that, redoing the playground that's there, that is in very, very, very poor shape. So this is a great opportunity to revitalize that whole area. There's already the basketball court that we're going to resurface, as well as a little league field there. So that'll be great. And then there are some updates to the softball field down behind Beaverbrook. So that's all for open space and recreation. And for historical resources, we're just putting the amount of money into reserves for that. With housing, the Affordable Housing Trust, they have asked us for $250,000, and again, that is to work to have money available for them in their trust, so when projects come up, they have that amount of money ready for them. Do you have any questions about the projects, about the money allotted?
So just to point out the percentages that we see and that people who go to town meeting will see on the warrant, those are state mandated, correct? Like the Community Preservation Act mandates you spend
Yeah, that you
certain
put that
amounts
money
in those
buckets.
specific areas.
Yes, and
So
if-
it's not just you get this amount of money and you get to use it on whatever you see fit. There are specific areas you have to use percentages.
Correct.
And then certain, like the projects that are done have to meet certain thresholds to qualify as
Correct,
something
yes.
in that area.
Yep, thank you. So as you'll notice also that some of this is also coming out of reserves from the 25 fiscal budget. So the great thing about that is that we, being very fiscally conservative, we have had money that's been left over year to year, and we really do try to keep money in that. So when some bigger projects come forward, that we will have some of that money available. And then the only thing that I don't think is on here then is also because last year the Memorial Field project was bonded and they're still working out those details, that there will also be, it's down below the fiscal year 26 Memorial Field bond. And that 150,000 is like the maximum that it could be, and every year it's gonna drop. So just to kind of add a little bit about that too. So.
Because it was one of the big selling factors when we voted on CPA, I ask every year, what's the latest with the Island Grove Bridge?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to turn to Kelly for just a minute because I know that there was money that was kind of allotted to us, allocated to us. But with the way things currently are, I'm not sure how that's going to be coming to us or if it is on hold or what that is. I'm just going to turn to Kelly and see have you heard anything about that? Haven't heard anything yet. So Liz might know.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
the last, Liz had checked, that the money was still available to us, the $1
Yep.
million.
Good.
And we're in a process right now, we're working with environmental impact study.
Yep.
So, right, as far as we know, the money's still there.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah. Awesome.
People have questions for Rachel?
If you're curious about any of the projects, I can go into a little bit more detail, or if anyone has any questions out there.
I know for people watching, you or other people will be available at town meeting if
Yes.
they have questions there too. So
And hopefully
it's a
I'll be
lot of good projects.
better
So-
organized that night. I apologize.
No, you were good. You were good. You went nailed them one by one and nice and quick. We don't mind quick these days.
I like
so.
quick.
All right.
Thank you.
Rachel, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have our DPW chief, John Stone.
Yes,
Peanut butter cup.
Yes.
everybody.
John, how are you?
Not bad, how you doing?
Good. Welcome back
Thank you.
again.
Thanks for coming back, John.
No
Yeah.
problem, no problem.
Sorry I missed you this time.
Oh, that's all right. If you don't mind, before we get into the budget, I was just gonna give a rundown of what we have going on. Upcoming projects, couple of past projects.
We always appreciate it.
We'll
It's
go
always
through
good
it.
to see.
We'll go through it quick, though, so you guys don't have to stay here too long.
Hopefully I won't pronounce anything wrong this year.
Yeah. First, we'll get into intersections, improvements, other intersections. This is a survey completed by OCPC, Old Colony Planning Council, a couple of years back.
Yep.
They studied all the dangerous intersections in town and rated them. And as you can see, Randolph and Chestnut at Old Randolph was ranked the most dangerous intersection in town. We'll get to that a little bit later. Bedford and Brockton Ave was the second most dangerous intersection in town. The state is actually gonna be taking care of that, and federally at 2028, gonna reconstruct that whole intersection. Third on the list is Hancock and Chestnut. We're taking care of that, as I'll show you in a couple minutes. And we took care of number 33 Thicket at Old Randolph last year through a grant.
Groveland?
We're working on a couple others, Groveland and Linwood.
Groveland and Linwood surprises me.
It's a very dangerous intersection.
I'm through there almost every day and it doesn't
Really?
ever feel dangerous,
A lot
so,
of accidents.
really.
Yeah, a lot of accidents. The state come out with a new program to see if certain intersections would fit with just four-way stops instead of traffic lights. So they're gonna study that intersection. It's still in its infancy, the program, but we'll see what happens. This is Hancock and Chestnut, the third most dangerous intersection in town. We received
Certainly the most famous.
probably the most famous, definitely, yeah. We've been working on this project since 2016.
Yeah.
It's a slow process.
It's a really weird physical spot.
It's a really, yeah, it's a lot of, the geographical outlay is really bad. The elevation changes are really bad. So we're gonna be making changes to those. Didn't meet the warrants for a set of traffic lights according to the MUTCD. It's a manual that we have to comply with. Every city and town has to comply with. We can't just do whatever we want, wherever we want. We have to comply with the MUTCD. It's a 900-page traffic manual. But
Wow.
we were able to get this funded through the state's Transportation Improvement Program, which is a federal and state-run program, so it won't really cost the taxpayers anything. And it will be, we opted for a roundabout, as you can see right there, up top. Since it didn't meet the warrants for a traffic signal, that's what we opted for, and we're gonna be cutting back the hill 3 feet to lower the elevation changes and redesigning the intersection to make it safer. We're gonna make better crosswalks and bike facilities. Any grant you get now, you have to create bike accommodations. I get a lot of questions about that. There's no way around it. If we-
John,
Go ahead, Barbara.
I just wanted to, because I have heard or seen a lot of people, saying things like, well, this intersection is more dangerous than that one, or it's not up to you or the town, right?
No.
It's through the state,
Yes, we gotta comply with the MUTCD, as I spoke about a couple minutes ago, and the state.
and then you don't get to decide that it's gonna be, the town doesn't decide that it's gonna be a roundabout, that's decided for you, correct?
That's decided within the MUTCD. So it didn't meet the warrants for a traffic signal, so we can't put traffic signals there. It didn't meet the warrants for a
Right.
four-way stop. So we figured we'd do something, and a roundabout was chosen, and it was approved by the selectmen in concept back in 2016. So
Perfect.
it's been a
Thank you.
long process, and it will definitely be safer. It'll be similar to the roundabout at North Quincy and Chestnut. I know people complain about it, but it's definitely a lot safer.
I actually think that roundabout has improved that
It's very
intersection
safe.
a lot.
It's very
So,
safe. And it slows, it's not as much traffic there.
yeah.
So it'll be similar to that with elevation changes. That hill will be shaved down.
That's gonna be a lot of,
Thanks for the clarification,
that's gonna be a
John.
lot of work.
No problem, Barbara, no problem. So we have that slated for, it's going out to bid probably in October of this year, 2025, which is the beginning of federal year, 2026. I don't know why they have a different year than us, but whatever. Next, here it is again. Closer up, you can see the pedestrian accommodations, the crosswalks. There'll be a median in the middle of this, all four roads.
Yep.
So people can stop in the middle of the crosswalk, not get run over. And as I mentioned before, shaving down that hill that'll make it safer by itself. And it'll be easier to plow and easier to salt, and it'll just be a
Is it,
much safer intersection.
sorry for the
No, it's okay.
not really finance-related questions on
No, no,
this,
no,
but
I
is
like
it gonna
that.
be, is it gonna be just shaving down on the,
No, it's also.
on that side? Is it gonna be building up
Building
on
up
the
the
others?
middle.
Okay,
So the elevation change could be
Yeah.
about 5 feet.
okay,
It doesn't seem like a lot when you just say 5 feet, but I think it will make a big difference.
yeah.
So that's that one. And here's, the schedule is actually 6 pages long. This is the last page. As you can see, October 2026, 2025 is when the bid process will start. It's close to 100% designed. So there's that one. What else?
What's, just, because I can't really read it off of that,
Yeah, it's hard-
what's,
that's hard to read, yes.
what's the ballpark of start construction and
From
end
2027.
construction?
2027, 2026, regular year 2026, federal year 27 is when construction will probably begin, and then probably a year and a half. Probably take about a year and a half, would be my guess.
I have one more question,
Sure.
sorry.
No, I don't care. A welcome question about this.
Is there any plans, doing the Chestnut Street, all of that, do you know what the plan is? Or have you heard anything with the speed limit on Hancock going down into,
We already
are they
loaded.
I think the
Yeah,
speed
we
limit on
we
Hancock
already
can't really
loaded that
get
at
much
25.
lower.
Yeah, we loaded.
I know, yeah,
And then
all the way
there'll
down, is
be-
it gonna stay that way?
Yeah, it's gonna stay that way, and there'll be better signage.
Okay.
Newer signage and better signage, more reflective signage.
So, switching away but staying on Chestnut, what's the plan for Chestnut and 139?
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Okay,
That's a good one.
I'll wait then.
This here is, this is the next one. This is a project we completed. We
Yeah, it
completed
looks
last
great.
year. We got a grant for $500,000 through the state's Complete Street Program, and I think it came out really well. Really
Yeah,
good.
really looks great.
Not nice. We got 2,000 feet of concrete sidewalk, new granite curbing. We paved it and restriped it, and bicycle accommodations like you have to do with all these grants, and that's just much safer for people to walk and ride bikes on. I don't know if you remember it before, it wasn't safe, it wasn't ADA compliant, it is now. And we'd like to continue on Washington if we better financial situation, maybe next year or the year after. So that's complete. Washington Street and Shaw Ave, this is another dangerous intersection. It didn't make the OCPC list, which I found weird, probably because there wasn't enough accidents there, but those of you who have driven it,
It's a weird
it's a weird layout. The alignment is terrible.
sight lines aren't great.
Yeah, there's been at least one fatality at the intersection. So last year, we applied for a grant through the Complete Streets program. We were denied, I think, just because we got the other grant through the Complete Streets program. So we then applied for a grant through the state's bottleneck grant program. Didn't meet the criteria for that. So this year, we've applied for a grant through the state's Shared Streets and Spaces program. We met with the state, and we think we're gonna get the grant this year to redesign that intersection and make it safer for not only motorists, but pedestrians and bicycles alike. Included in the application was 400 feet of concrete sidewalk and granite curbing, similar to as a continuation of what we did last year on Washington. So that, if we get that grant, that'll be good for the town and make the road safer for everybody. So we have that coming up. Hopefully, I think we will. I think we'll get that grant. Here is what you asked about, Matt, Randolph Street, Chestnut Street, and Old Randolph Street. There's a little map there showing you where it is. Laidlaw Field would be like the bottom left corner of the picture. This is the most dangerous intersection in town according to the OCPC survey. We were awarded a grant through the TIP program, just similar, the same as Chestnut Hancock, but less. And this did meet the warrants for traffic signal, so that's what we'll be putting there as a traffic signal, along with realignment of the intersection, improved pedestrian facilities and bike facilities. And that is slated for federal year 2027, which will be a year from October. They're a little close together, the two projects. I'm a little worried about that, but they'll be safer for everybody. Anyone who's driven that intersection knows how bad that is. That is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Again,
The,
bad
state-
sight lines.
What's that?
Again, bad sight lines.
Bad sight lines, we're gonna
And-
fix that.
And Old Randolph is fast.
Randolph is fast. We're gonna have a left turn only lane heading east on Randolph Street.
Yep.
The state urged the town to do something about this intersection back in 1998, so we took the vote.
Just getting to it.
Well, I wasn't here, Greg, I'm sorry.
No, 1998, that's not bad, right?
Why rush? You know what I mean? Why rush? But we're getting there, so we're making all our roads and intersections safer. You know, is everything gonna be perfect? No, but hopefully no one gets injured or anything like that going forward after we complete these projects. And here's the intersection again. This is a better picture. You can see later the field, bottom left. You can see the pedestrian facilities. This will just be a very good project, because that is definitely the worst intersection.
Is that bad?
Now, are there medians in the middle on this as well?
It's near you.
What's that?
There are medians in the
Yeah,
middle?
there are medians on 130, yeah, on all 4 approaches, there are medians.
Okay.
Pedestrian refuges, so they can stand in the middle in case they can't get across the whole street
Okay.
when they're walking across. So huge safety improvement, and again, it doesn't cost the taxpayers. Well, the design went back 2 years ago, the town voted to, for $500,000 for design at town meeting. They gave us $500,000 for design, but the 3 million or 4 million, I think it'll approach 4 million by the time it's said and done. That doesn't cost the town of Abington taxpayers directly anyway.
Yep.
So there's that. Let's see, there's the schedule, similar schedule, not date-wise, but layout, similar schedule layout. We just added the last page, just so you can see.
Yep.
So there's that. Center Ave Bridge. The state.
Again, not to be confused with the
Not to
Center
be-
Street
Not
Bridge.
to be confused with the Central Street Bridge, which we completed last year and a half ago or so.
Yep.
That was a tough one. The state inspects all bridges in the state, even if they are town-owned. And this Center Ave Bridge had components that were rated below 4. So it's more of a rehab project than a total
Rebuild.
reconstruct like Central Street was. So we applied for a grant through the state small bridge program for design. We got that grant, designed it. Then we applied for a grant through the same program, and we were awarded $350,000 for construction. We went out to bid in spring of 2024, and we didn't get one bid. So we're going out to bid again, and next month. So hopefully we get some bids. This doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. It won't be a total closure of the bridge. It might be one lane at a time. At times, we'll have police details. The buses will be able to get through, the trash trucks will be able to get through. Like I said, this is more of a rehab project than a reconstruction project, so it's not as intrusive.
Why wouldn't we have been able to get a bid? Like, everybody was
Slow.
just too busy?
Slow, small project, Greg. I
Is it a
think.
small, okay.
350.
Yeah.
The Central Street Bridge was 800, but it didn't meet the criteria for this program because the span was over 20 feet.
Yeah,
This is for bridges with span of less than 20 feet. Central Street has a span of 24. But yeah, I think it's a good question, Greg. I'm hoping in April we have a good turnout of bids. I asked our engineer, can we ask people to put it in? And he said, yeah, you can do that. It's not against any laws to ask to let companies know.
I'd definitely ask the people who did the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna definitely know. It's a good point, Greg. So we have that coming up. Hopefully we get some bids. And that would, if we do get the appropriate bids, construction will take place in early June with project completion before Thanksgiving. And here is the actual inspection report from the state, along with a few pictures. I think you can get the gist of it there. That's why it's not, we don't have to replace the beams like on Central Street. Just more rehab, crack fill, and things of that nature. But again, no cost to the taxpayers. This is it's an overview of the current conditions right now. What else we have? All right, let's see. We haven't gone to the actual rating of the road yet this year, so we don't have the actual printout of that yet. We're getting to that. But last year we paved Washington Street, as I spoke about earlier, Nash Memorial, which was just an overlay, and Loud's Court, which was just an overlay. And potential projects coming up, we've got to get to the Hershey Lane area. We'd like to continue with Washington Street, along with the sidewalks, Coleman Street and Mill Street. We have a lot of needs out there for roads, and we don't have the money. So we get $390,000 a year from the state for road work, and it doesn't go
Doesn't go
far,
very far.
less than a mile.
And when are we gonna start putting that in the budget?
When we are not as strapped in the budget.
When the town does have a better financial
Yeah.
situation, I strongly suggest making it a budget line item. Other towns do that, whether it's 400,000 a year, 500,000 a year. We're just kicking the can down the road. People are calling every day to have their road paved, and I don't blame them. It's- You know, we have 200.
Most of the towns around us are doing that, John?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, they have, it's a budget line item. Paving is a budget line item. Capital projects, capital outlay, it's a budget line item. You know, I think when we're better financially situated, it should become a budget line item, but that's not up to me to decide that. But I'm just
No.
here to express what we need, and we need
No.
road work bad.
Could we, when the trash comes out of whatever, right? Comes out at whatever year it comes out, can this slip in there?
No.
Not
Not
this
right
year.
now. No. I
Why?
mean, we can continue to look at it because we don't have the money. It's just simply we do not have the money right now.
So if we don't take the trash out, let's just say, I'm not saying it's going to, say, but if we don't take the trash out, what happens? Out of the budget.
This year,
I know it's gonna be on a rolling 4 or 5 year, but I'm just saying if that doesn't happen,
if it doesn't happen.
does not.
We have even less money. I mean, that's the fact, I mean, we only have X amount of money.
Yeah.
The budget in with what we can raise and appropriate and what we have and what the general needs are, there isn't any other funds. We have been, over the last few years, trying to put, we used as much of the ARPA funds as we could to supplement.
You have.
We did, I think, a few years ago, we borrowed money to get it kick-started to try
Definitely
and get this program going, but, yeah, I mean, we just don't have, we don't have it. It's not there. You know, everybody's at bare bones right now, too. I mean, you saw and you heard from pretty much all the department heads, and including, I think you'll hear tonight, that, you know, staffing levels are
We're
below
We're worse than anyone.
what we want. So,
Worse than anyone.
yeah, there's just no funds for it right now. It's definitely something that we'll be talking about every year. Certainly, when we get to a point when we've made, we're whole on what we're paying to Plymouth County for retirement, which is anywhere between 2029 and 2032. That frees up a lot of money that, at that point, we certainly would look to invest in here. Hopefully find a way to do it a lot sooner. But we can't do it now.
All right, so we'll get that survey done soon. If you'd like me to email it to you, we could. We can get it done. Okay,
That'd be great.
we just don't have the time right now.
Yep.
Summer Street sidewalk. I don't know if any of you have driven down Summer Street during the morning time at all, but people walk down the middle of the street to get to the T station. So we applied for a grant through the Community One Stop for Growth Program back this past October. We received the grant for $500,000, but that's just for design and permitting. I thought it was a little bit high, but whatever. And then after they're done with that, the surveys are out there now. They were out there today, they were out there last week. People will see them. That's what they're doing. After it's designed, we'll apply for construction grants. So, you know, we don't have the money for that.
By the way, are these all like public figures, like when we go to get a grant and the grant is, they say yes to the grant, is that all like public to where the person who's then bidding on doing the thing gets to see that?
I wouldn't say so, Greg. I mean, if
So they
they
don't
ask
know,
for it.
yeah, I'm just saying, would they know that amount of money that the grant was for?
Yeah, they probably could find out, but I mean,
Public
typically,
record.
yeah, I mean, it is public record, and when these projects go out to bid, there's an estimated cost that's part of the advertisement.
Yeah, yeah.
We expect it to cost so much, and we say that in the advertising,
Got it.
part of, not because we want to,
Yeah, yeah.
because the law requires us to do it.
You have to do it.
Yeah, and then, again, like John said, most of this stuff is public, so the folks that do $1 million projects, they know that, and they know how to find the information.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that, but it's still competitive. You know, you still will find on projects of this side that it is gonna be competitive, and, you know, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna bid
I
properly.
would just say on the side of life that I deal with every day, if I were to tell
You can
somebody
keep it secret.
exactly
Sure.
what I can pay, I can tell you that the cost that they
Would
would give
be
me would be incredibly
exact-
close to that
would be
number,
exactly what you can have.
9,999 times.
But,
But I get your point. If you have to do it and it's written in somewhere, it's written
Yeah.
somewhere.
and again, when they're applying for the bid, applying for the grants, and the people who do the design of this, they also know, there's not a lot of fudge factor in there either. They
Yeah.
know what this is gonna cost, they know what the bids are gonna come in like, so they're not giving us you know, it's all pretty tight anyways.
I got you.
So on Summer Street, there are sidewalks from 18 to Walnut Street, and then from Progress to 58. But there's a big gap between Walnut and Progress. 2,000-foot gap, and people walk down the middle of the road to get to the train station, and there's no shoulder there. And someone's gonna get run over. That's what prompted this effort to apply for this grant. And then, with the part of this design is they're gonna take a look at the intersection of 58 and Summer as part of this design. So we'll know more about this going forward. This probably wouldn't get going until next year, but we're trying. Snow and ice, this is a rundown of how much snow we've had this year. We've been out close to 20 times, 5 plowing events, the rest were salt events, 22 inches of snow. And this gives you a rundown on how much the salt cost, how much we've spent, price per ton of salt. I don't know if there are any questions on that.
I think it's good to show, because people will remember maybe like the January 11th, maybe the January 19th,
Definitely.
February 15th, but they're not going to remember all the 0.1 inch,
Exactly.
0.2 inches that you have to go out
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
keep the road safe. Because just because we didn't get a lot of big storms and heavy snow,
Absolutely.
every little thing, we have to go out and keep the
Salt.
roads clear.
Keep the road safe, yes. It's a good point, Matt.
I mean, talking about forgetting, I'm looking at this going, did we really get 52 inches in 21, 22? Because I'm like, I don't think we've gotten snow in forever.
Yeah, that was the last time we got
Like a
any
big
kind of
winter.
decent snow.
Yes, yes.
And like, so that's like, I definitely don't remember 2 weeks ago.
A lot of these were like long, drawn out duration type events where we were here for, the guys, whoever was here for 8 hours, 12 hours. We were there that long at times because it wouldn't stop. It was raining, it was turning into ice. So we had to be here to salt the roads. So that's a rundown on that. Let's see what else we have here. This is our fleet list. I just want to say thank you all for approving all of some of the equipment upgrades and keeping our guys safe over the last couple of years. We've made great improvements on the fleet list. We have a lot of new equipment. We're changing the trucks over to white because it's cheaper and they look cleaner. So if you see a lot of white trucks now, that's the reason. We don't, the trucks come white and we don't have to pay to have them painted. So, but I appreciate the effort Scott, Andrew, and the finance committee has made over the last 4 or 5 years, giving us this equipment and keeping our guys safe and allowing us to do our jobs. And there's a continuation of the fleet list. What do we have here? This is a list of trees. Every year we try to take down dead and decaying trees around town. 40 last year.
I think this is Greg's favorite part of the report.
I like it.
There's a bird. Jeannie, put that bird back.
A big hummingbird, isn't it?
And this is,
That was actual size.
every year I like to supply the finance committee with where we stand sewer rate wise. We're below average of the communities that participated in this MWRA survey. The survey is based on an average of 90,000 gallons per year per house. So we're under the average. well, let's see. And this is,
Whoa.
that's not us.
If we were to raise the price, can you,
Right? I was gonna say, when was that?
It's taken off the internet. We haven't had a sewer overflow in years.
if we, can you raise the price?
Yeah.
Or so if we, would that be, what would you have to use that money for?
Sewer related,
Only sewer?
yeah, we have what's called the sewer enterprise fund.
Okay.
Has to stay within the sewer department.
You can only be used to fix the roads when that happens.
And that hasn't happened.
don't
That's
want
just that's a generic picture we took off the internet.
we don't want
That's
that.
not us.
As much as we wanna fix
You
the
were really
roads, we don't
scaring my
wanna fix them
memory
for
now.
that.
I was like, okay, now I have no idea what's going on.
We're allotted well, we don't have our own treatment plant to start off, so we send sewer flow to Brockton and Rockland, who both have treatment plants. We're allotted 1.5 million gallons a day to send to City of Brockton and 110,000 a day to send to Rockland. Right now, we're averaging about, we're averaging about, 1.07 million gallons a day to Brockton and 62,000 gallons a day sent to the town of Rockland. So we have some wiggling room there. The sewer commission worked out a great deal with City of Brockton it's been about 10 years now, where that increased our daily flow allotment from 1 million to 1.5 million, which gave the town a lot of flexibility. So it's a great credit to the Board of Sewer Commissioners. So that's just a rundown of that. Any questions with any of that? We're also responsible for taking care of and maintaining the sewer system with our
So
13 guys.
We still have room for growth with. what
We do. We have flexibility.
Because I know when I first got on the committee, that was.
We had a
that was
sewer
big-
moratorium where we
yeah.
couldn't allow any new connections, and the Board of Sewer Commissioners worked very hard with the City of Brockton on this new IMA, which gave us an extra 500,000 gallons
Yep.
per day. This year, we'll be working out of the sewer department enterprise fund. We're upgrading the Walnut Street pump station. It was built in 1988, so it's 35 years old. We have 13 pump stations in town, so we're gonna start upgrading them over time. Maybe one every 2 years. This one's taken a long time. Took forever to get the pump station and the pumps, so it's taken longer than we thought it would take. But anyway, that's the activity you'll see on Walnut Street. And that's our new guy, our newest sewer guy, Joe. Let's see. We're also required to maintain our storm sewer system, which is different than the regular sewer. The storm sewer system is rainwater. So we also have to comply with our stormwater permit, which is governed through the state DEP and the EPA federally. And we have to meet all these thresholds
Yep.
written in the permit. And one of them is gonna be on the next page, I think. Oops. Here we go. All right, here it is. One of the criteria in the permit is to construct 2 BMPs, best management practices is what they're called, and they have to be like teaching best management practices. They have to have an educational component to them. So we're gonna be putting one on the far side of Arnold Park and one at Town Hall, right down near the employees lot. They're just gonna be like rain gardens with a kiosk. But it's part of the permit, and we are definitely required to do it. They're already designed, we're just waiting for the funding.
Just making it clear to everyone who's
Yes.
listening, watching at home, et cetera, this is stormwater, not sewer.
Yeah, this is stormwater, a rain garden with a kiosk to make it look, for educational purposes, it's a requirement. So if you see any digging going on at Town Hall or in the corner of Arnold Park, that's what we're putting in. The next page
So-
is a summary of what we have to
With
do.
Arnold Park, I'm assuming that's being coordinated with
Absolutely,
CPC?
absolutely. It's gonna be in the far corner. It'll be out of the way. And this is the letter from our engineer stating what we need to do with those best management practices. And here we get to, this is, I like to supply you guys with this every year to show where we stand workforce-wise. It's not good. We have a total of 16 people, and this is what other towns have. And then we broke it down per capita, which is on the next page, and we are down at the bottom. So our workforce is gonna have to be addressed when the town has more money. We don't have a choice. We don't have time to do anything. Come April, we are straight landscaping, so all we do is mow. You know, we have a lot of good employees, just not enough of them. They're starting to gain longevity, which is good. But with that comes more vacation time. They accrue more vacation time, so there's more guys taking vacations, which they deserve. But that's what comes with longevity
Yep.
and having people here over 10 years or so. That
It's
when
the
they start getting
balance,
full-
it's the balance of expertise versus time off and
True.
higher pay.
It's a good point.
So
It's a good point.
we'll take the expertise.
But when, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Question, no, when, so some of those like road projects, is that like your DPW people, are they who are doing the work at like Chestnut Street, or is that
No,
other people?
that's outsourced.
Okay,
That's subcontracted. The lowest bidder will get those jobs.
okay, I was like, they'll be so busy doing that, they'll get nothing else done.
Yeah, well, that's where we're at anyway. We're struggling. We don't even have time to train. But, so when the town gets back on its feet, we're gonna have to address our manpower shortage, or we're gonna have problems. Any questions?
Just baffled by these workforce numbers. They're
It is-
wildly inconsistent for other towns. Like,
Yeah.
I would not expect Plymouth to have less people than Needham, for
Yeah.
example.
Yes.
It's strange. So,
Is there something over there by? Is there something over there by Needham, Westwood, and Dedham that like?
Money? Money?
Well, no,
I don't know.
they have low numbers. Is what I'm saying per whatever 5,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And
Needham has a ton,
that's what I mean. Like,
but Westwood and Dedham are very low. Like, knowing those towns my office was in Westwood for years, it's in Canton now, I know those towns fairly well driving around there. I would think Dedham would need more than Needham.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I don't know.
Just-
All I
I
know
don't
is
know.
we're at the bottom.
yeah,
That's what I do know.
yep.
All right, so I'm gonna ask Kelly to come up and talk about the recreation component of the DPW, if she doesn't mind. This is
Thanks for
Kelly
joining us,
Johnson,
Kelly.
Wow.
Recreation
Chill back
Director.
down.
There we go. So I just wanted to kind of go over some of the recreation information real quick. So I kind of thought these charts were interesting to see, especially speaking of COVID earlier, so Eager Beaver registrations, that's our main program we have, our day program throughout the summer. And those numbers have been increasing substantially over, I would say, the last 10 years, of course, except for COVID. And then for Island Grove, you can see that those numbers have been steadily decreasing, except shot up during COVID. I think people were just trying to get outdoors and find something to do. But overall, naturally, except for COVID years, the revenue has been going up. The problem is, of course, with that, everything else has been increasing in price as well. So this is just some interesting statistics, and I put this in here because we do get a lot of questions about resident versus non-resident registrations. So something like Eager Beaver used to be about 70-30, and now it's almost entirely residents. I would say last year we probably had a total of 10 non-resident children out of 170 per session. And then the total percentage of revenue from 2014, Eager Beaver was about 45% of the total revenue. Now it's about 66%. Like I said, even though that's going up, prices of things are going up. So here are just some things that we're doing to kind of cut costs a little bit. Not so much cutting costs with this one, but we have been considering changing the pool hours to just accommodate people's schedules. It used to be used primarily in the mornings by families. Now we're seeing people want it to be open later, and they don't really come in the morning. So maybe changing those so that way we're not paying lifeguards to be there when no one's swimming. We've considered switching to an outside vendor for swim lessons. This would again save money because first, we don't have to pay the lifeguards to be there for swim lessons, and we would be getting a percentage of the revenue from having an outside vendor. We have moved all at camp activities. We used to do field trips. Bus expenses have been crazy, especially with the increase in numbers. So now they're all at camp. We've been trying to increase fees slowly to match other towns around us. We've been trying to be mindful about balancing, you know, this is a town program. We want to keep it at minimal cost to families, but we still need to cover all the costs. And then trying to work towards updating facilities just to make it a little bit more marketable for people to attend. We, about a month ago, had done a recreation survey. You guys probably can't read most of this right now, but just, this will be out on the website, on the DPW page. So you guys can go back and look at this anytime. These are just some of the results as of a couple weeks ago, I believe. Just something to note that we heard a lot of, for youth, a lot of people mentioned wanting a teen center. There was a lot of requests for things like volleyball, gardening, and group play. For adults, we heard a lot of yoga, paint night, Zumba. But I would say the number one thing that was on there was something about either teen center, some sort of recreation facility. And again, you guys can all, this can be pulled up on the website if anybody would like to review more of the details of it.
Thank you, Guy.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, the whole presentation will be on the website. if anyone needs
Excellent.
it.
Thanks, Kelly.
The Highland Road.
It's a man-made swimming
Yeah.
hole. Yeah,
We refer to it as the pool.
Light.
Sand,
All right.
sand ball,
sand bottom, we take care of it.
Oh, I got
We
you.
we chlorinate it.
Yeah.
Kind of.
sort of.
It's probably 12 feet deep in the middle. I mean, it just goes off from the edges. It's been there
Yeah.
for 40, 50 years.
Yeah,
I spent like every day of my childhood
You did?
summer there, yeah.
Good memories.
Yes, I
Yeah.
like grew up swimming lessons, everything there.
It's a great place. Check it out sometime, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely
Bring the kids down there,
recommend.
they'll love it.
They will.
They have a snack shack.
You just answered my most pressing question, how deep actually is it in the
It's
middle?
12
It's
feet.
just
I think we have
giant.
about 1,000,000 gallons of water in it, a little bit under. We fill it every day, we take care of the beach, we chlorinate it, all that stuff. So that's another thing we do with our guys. Capital plan for this year, these are some of the items, I don't know if any of them are even gonna be funded, I'm not sure, but one thing we definitely need is that paint machine. Without that, we won't be able to line the football fields, the baseball fields, the soccer fields, the track fields, the marching band fields, or any other fields. We're gonna need a new paint machine. Ours is 14 years old, and the thing is just, it's dying. It's causing us more problems, and it's costing us more man-hours to try to keep it going than the actual painting of the fields themselves. These are some of the other items we asked for. I know there's no money, so hopefully maybe the year after next, we can do some of these items. Town hall needs to be paved. A lot of roads need to be paved, as I alluded to earlier, but I won't get into that again. Any questions?
What is the center?
That's a asset management system. It's a work order system. that We're trying to get up to the 21st century, to computerize everything, track everything, signs, road painting, trees, vehicles, equipment, stuff like that.
What do you,
Software,
what do you use now?
nothing. Paper,
Just like Excel?
pen, Excel, pen and paper. Just trying to get up to the 21st century. So,
Or at least the late 20th century.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Good point, Matt. That's all I have on that. Thank you very much. Like Kelly said, this will be up on the website if anyone at home wants to look at it. Or if anyone has any questions, feel free to call the office.
John, I don't
Go ahead,
have a
Barbara.
question, just a comment, though. I just want to thank you for the persistence with the grant writing. One of the
Yeah.
projects you listed, you applied for several grants for the same project, and each time you got denied, you applied for something different.
Right.
And I
Thank
don't
you.
know if everybody understands, like, the grant writing's not just requesting money, there's a lot that goes into writing the grants. And just listening to all of the grants that you are applying for and wondering how the heck you're doing anything else other than grant writing. So
Thank you,
just,
Barbara. Appreciate it.
That's a big undertaking, and I appreciate your persistence with that.
Thank you. A lot of credit goes to Jeannie and Kelly in the office as well. They do a lot of it, much to their dismay, I think.
It's a lot of work to do all those
It's
grants.
a lot of
They-
work, but
Jeannie and Kelly
you
have to keep up
guys,
with everything.
as a department, really do an excellent job.
Thank you, I appreciate
with
that.
We've seen, like Barbara and I have been on the committee longest, we've seen year after year, you guys getting more and more and more through grants. I remember,
I think we're up
it was
over 20 million.
I think it was a couple years ago on the department tour, I remember seeing your whiteboard with all the
Yes.
grants written out, like
Yes.
projects and which ones were getting grants and which ones had available grants that you were applying
gonna
for
keep
and
at it
stuff. It's
every-
really,
all the
it's
time.
really impressive to see, and it really does save the residents of the town a lot of money and gets them stuff we need without it having to come directly out of their
Absolutely.
local taxes, so,
Thank you, and it keeps everyone safe.
yeah.
You know, that's the main thing, in my opinion. Thank you. Any questions on that? We good? Do you want me to get into the budget now?
Yeah.
One other thing, so is there a way that we can try, as a town, like, has anybody thought about, like, putting out a thing on Facebook, try to help you guys when it comes to cutting the field, stuff like that? Has anybody put anything like that out, knowing that you're basically saying, look, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the time to do it, this is all we're doing?
Right.
Maybe if we could get a little creative to say, I don't know, and I'm not talking about cut money off taxes or paying people, I'm just saying, like, can you do this, and there's some sort of a, not a benefit, but I don't know, maybe there can't be a benefit, maybe people just want to do it,
Right.
just to
Yeah.
help you. I'm just saying, because, I mean, you have to cut those fields every week, right?
Yeah, yes.
Almost every day, roughly?
We're mowing something every day, yeah.
Right,
We're
so
mowing every day.
is there anything?
There's a lot more town-owned land than people realize.
Right.
And it's not just the fields that people go and play youth sports on. It's
The high school sports too.
and the high school sports. It's a lot of other things. It's
a lot of grounds.
medians
A lot of
and-
grounds.
and things alongside of the road and
Are there any other things that
I
other
know-
towns do?
yeah.
Like, just,
Volunteers?
yeah, just like, no?
I know we've
I'm
talked
aware
about
of.
we've
Greg.
talked about it over the
Well-
years. Volunteers gets tricky because
Oh.
it's people doing things on town-owned property and
I was just gonna
Liability
mention how
comes into-
years
comes into
ago,
play.
several years back, certain organizations took over, because the DPW, or at the time, the Highway Department and Park and Rec didn't have the manpower and the ability to do certain fields, and different organizations did
I got
do
you.
some of that. But I think a lot of it, became issues around liabilities and all of those kind of red tape issues, I think, is also plays a role.
but if people have ideas, certainly bring them.
Absolutely,
bring
it's a
them
good point, Greg. So if anyone wants to, has any other ideas, feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah. And I can say from experience as a resident, not just as part of the finance committee, you guys are incredibly responsive when we reach out. I know because my neighbors know I'm on finance committee, they often say, hey, there's a pothole here. Can you talk to? I'm like, you can call John and John or the office. And every time they reach out to you, I get an email back or a call back from my neighbor saying, oh, they were so great. They came and took care of it like faster than I expected it to. And
Yeah, the staff is awesome, just not enough of them, you know?
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
we're at the point now where if anything else is added to our plate, something's gonna have to come off.
Yeah.
Something has to, we can't,
There's only so much time.
there's only so much time in the day. So that's enough about that. So we have three budgets, the highway budget, the sewer budget, and the park and rec budget. I didn't know if you wanted me, you don't want me to go over every line item?
I don't think we need to go over,
Changes?
yeah, I think we need to hit kind of the
Changes?
differences. So,
All right,
yeah.
so as far as highway, I don't know what, yeah. As far as the highway budget, we asked for one laborer and one mechanic. And in the park and rec budget, we asked for two laborers. So we asked for four more positions. It's the same as last year. We asked for them last year and the year before that.
And we really want to give them to you.
I know that. I'm not here to blame anyone. I'm
Yeah.
just here to tell
Yeah.
the people what
No,
we have and what
exactly.
we need. And that's my job. I'm not crying.
Yep.
I don't want to be, I don't want to sound like I'm crying about it.
No, definitely not.
We don't have, the town doesn't have the money this year to give us the help. So the only changes to the highway budget, the COLAs, contractually mandated stuff, and I had to increase the on-call a little bit because last year it wasn't enough. Is there any particular line item anyone wants to go
So,
over?
question, because we talk about it with various other departments.
Sure.
What is the on-call typically, or the overtime on-call, that type of stuff?
On-call, yeah, we have a rotating list, like everyone's on call for 1 week, one whole week, and they got paid 8 hours to be on call.
What do you typically have to call people for? I think, because like, we've talked with police
trees.
about like when they need to bring people back in who are off duty, like what kind of stuff do they have to
Trees
come
falling.
in for, so.
Signs run over, accidents, if there's an accident, we might have to put sand in the road. Sewer backups, our pump stations are monitored, so if one of them fails, the guy will have to go in for that. Emergency dig safes, we'll go in for that. Our mechanics will have to go in if a police cruiser breaks down or a fire truck breaks down. It could be anything, the list goes on and on and on. We have one guy, they rotate weeks. Well, we have a sewer guy and a highway guy, they rotate weeks. They get 8 hours to be on call, and then they get 4 hours if they're called out per the contract. That's in their contract, and
Yep.
there's nothing really we can do about that. But it works out good, you know, if a tree falls on the road, we have a guy, the police will call me, I'll call the on-call guy, they go in, they need help, they call me, I send another guy, the next on the list, so it works out good. But a lot of our overtime is spent on things like the St. Patrick's Day Parade this weekend. They have 6 guys coming into work, and that's what, $3,000. You know, it comes out of our budget.
Yep.
And we have a lot of events like that throughout the year. Abington celebrates, all kinds of stuff. A lot of road races, fishing derbies, things of that nature. So we spend a lot of money in that too.
Do you have a figure on that?
My guess, Greg, for Sunday would be $5,000.
Which is like the whole year?
Oh, for the whole year, I haven't figured that out.
Could you do that?
I
Could
will
you
do
find that
that,
out?
definitely.
Yeah, we did it once before, so.
You did it?
Yep, I don't remember the job looking.
It would just be good to know every year, you know what I
It's a
mean?
good idea.
Because again, maybe we can try to figure out ways to fund stuff. I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
We were surprised at how high.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta, that's 6 guys, they're gonna be here for 10 hours and they're on overtime
yeah.
Right.
for the parade. And we have to fund that through our budget. We don't have any other way to pay for it.
Yeah.
Are there any questions about the highway budget? Anything stand out, anything you wanna know about? I can run down the whole list, but I don't wanna bore you guys.
Just making sure, Barbara, you have anything?
Barbara?
No. No, I'm good.
All right, the sewer department,
Sarah?
Sorry, the 248 for the stormwater, is that the rain
it is,
gardens?
it is.
Yeah, and we actually took that out of John's budget, and that's gonna end up in, as a capital item to pay with free cash.
Okay.
Which we've done stormwater that way.
We did it last year too.
It kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things, I think,
We would prefer
eventually
to-
it should go in the budget.
Prefer to have
yeah.
it as a budget item that we can keep it consistent, but
Yep.
not every year we've been able to do.
No, I understand. I'm not here to fault people. I'm just here to explain the situation. I don't blame anyone for anything. Just telling you what we need.
Yep.
Sewer budget increases, electricity, we had to go up 10,000 on that, because all you gotta do is look at your bill at home.
Yeah.
And you know why. Gas for heat, that went up a little. Postage went up. We went up on that line item $1,000. Telephone, we actually went down in, which pays for the guys' cell phones. Office supplies, we lowered that, we're not spending a lot in that. Gas and oil, we went down a bit. The price of gas has come down.
Let's hope that keeps going.
I hope so. I mean, yeah,
That helps everything go down.
I hope everything goes down. On-call status, we increased that a little bit. Sick leave incentive, we increased that a little bit. That's just an estimate based on what we think. Well, if people don't call in sick for the first 6 months of the year, they get 2 days pay. If they don't call in sick for the second 6 months of the year, they get 2 more days pay. I mean, that's impossible to predict, so this is our best estimate.
Yep.
Insurance stipend, and then 3% COLA for the guys, for their contract. Any questions on the sewer budget? Anything? It's pretty much cut and dry. Park and Rec, we asked for 2 laborers, like I alluded to a little while ago. That's not happening. Kelly made a lifeguards line item. And then just 3% COLAs. And with the addition of the lifeguard line item, we reduced the temporary salaries by $20,000. And that's that. If anyone has any questions, feel free to email me, call me, whatever you want, doesn't matter.
Groundkeeping supplies.
Gravel,
Yeah.
stone dust, pitch and mound clay,
It's just gone up considerably, right? So the cost of that
irrigation is the
Yeah.
biggest one.
is it?
Yep, irrigation, we sub that out. The irrigation is the biggest line item within the groundskeeping. What else is in there?
And can we even use it?
What's that?
Can we even use the irrigation?
Yeah, because.
I'm not trying to be
Some
jerk.
No,
All
no, no, it's a good question.
right, I just know that like,
No, I know what
I
you
get
mean.
yelled at sometimes, so I'm like, I don't know, man.
It's a good question. Memorial Field we can because it's sucked out of the pond.
Okay,
Same with Riley Field
yeah,
and the high school.
all right,
It's well water,
got it.
basically. So we can, but that's the biggest line item within that is,
It's just, just for round numbers, it doubled since 22 or
Yeah.
whatever, 23? But if it's, a lot more things have irrigation, then,
everyone wants the grass to look good.
yeah, I'm sure.
Any other questions for John?
That's it.
Thank you all.
Barbara, anything?
Barbara?
Yeah, just, John, I do appreciate you advocating for your department.
Yes.
So I don't think you're complaining or blaming anyone. I think
Yeah, thank you.
it's important for us to hear what you do need, regardless of, how it's being put into or not being put into the budget. I think it's important for us to hear it all.
Yeah.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
Regardless of the ability to fill those needs, it's very good to know what the
Right.
needs are.
The biggest thing that happened to the department was back in 2010, they eliminated the park department. It was
Yeah.
a separate division within, so that was before anyone was even here.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
was-
most of you guys
And
weren't
then,
there. I don't even,
when I first came on the committee, I think is when we were combining everything into the.
we combined, we cut and combined,
Yeah.
and it,
Yeah, we completely
we never,
unfunded it.
We have
we
not.
never,
we
we
have
never
not
built it
gotten-
back up.
Gotten all the way back up to
No,
where
we used to have
there's a
20,
handful of
25
depart-
people.
Yeah, there's a handful of departments that still have not gotten back up to where they were before the 2008 crash.
All right, thank you.
So, John, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
John, if you, can you swing by in the
Thank you,
morning?
John.
Around
Yeah, we have a
there?
meeting at 10. Ask me.
Oh, is that 10? All right, good.
Is that good?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Could I have a couple minutes?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Barbara.
I saw a note from Scott.
He's smiling, I don't know.
I saw his head going side to side.
I just want to say this is not an item on the agenda, so therefore, I don't think you can let him go.
Oh, no, 2 minutes. All I really wanted to say, there's two articles that I know you
So-
vote on.
We are reviewing the warrant articles, so if you want to, maybe when we get to each of the articles, or do we want
You're
to?
gonna do it tonight?
Yeah,
Okay.
You can stay there.
yeah, you can stay.
It's a
I'm
comfy
on
chair.
Article 20 and 26, though.
We don't necessarily have to take the articles in order, so. We want
think we
to,
should.
I'm gonna start with an update from the town manager, just to get the latest of where we're at. I know we've got some handouts.
Yeah, I don't know, are those from tonight? You got budget sheets for everybody tonight, okay. So, Andrew and I have come up with a proposal that puts a balanced budget forward. Again, we've spoken about the cuts that have been made and to the requests that have been made, and I think you heard tonight from, the latest from the DPW director, yet another department that we just, they have legitimate needs and legitimate services that are not even enhanced services, just trying to offer, to do the best that they can for the town, we just don't have the ability to fully fund those departments right now. In even doing so with some assumptions that we're proposing this budget with uses $1.7 million in free cash, a little over $1.7 million in free cash to balance this budget. And it also, we're calling for a transfer from the stabilization fund. We have 3.9 million in the stabilization fund currently. So we're looking to take a little over $400,000 out of the stabilization fund. It still will leave us with, well, in that area of 5%, which is kind of a good place to be. That's sort of the industry standard to have for a stabilization fund. But I think that, we consciously put that money there when I got here, the year we got here, as we were talking earlier, of COVID years and the first years. And we consciously put that there for getting us through some of the difficult times. And certainly this is probably one of the most difficult years. Last year, we had similar conversations on how difficult it was. We're doing our best, as you can see, to avoid losing any more personnel than we already have. We're trying to keep things steady. Certainly, we're going to have problems again next year. But right now, I think tough times call for some tough decisions, and that's what I'm going to put forward to this committee and to the town meeting. So that being said, we also have within our warrant articles a very slimmed down capital plan. And again, this doesn't take into consideration a lot of the things that the department's asked for. Certainly, the Department of Public Works, they needed quite a bit more. Not to say that we won't be able to get some of those things done that we had to cut out. We will find a way somehow to get him a new paint machine. That I can tell you right now. But some of the other things, a lot of the road projects, again, we are going to be at the mercy of grants that are out there that we haven't applied for yet. Not only does John's department advocate and look for and apply for grants, but also our planning department. Liz and Kevin do an amazing job at finding other grants. And typically, we find ways that it all kind of melts together and we get stuff done. So we'll continue to do that. I do believe there is going to be a slight increase to our Chapter 90 funds. So there could be an extra 150,000 coming to us on that, which I'm sure John will greatly appreciate, but unfortunately, as he said earlier, that it just doesn't go far enough. So, yeah, it's all in all, it's gonna be a difficult year. But I did think we found a way to
Just
get through it.
To clarify for people listening, which chapter is chapter 90?
Chapter 90 is the funds that come to us for, from the state to use for road repairs.
Thank you.
So with that, I guess I would submit unless I missed anything, Andrew, and you'd like to add, I think,
Yeah, so the budget, it's rough this year. We do survive another year without layoffs, but next year it's going to be tough. We're using, almost about $4 million of one-time funds. Those aren't going to be there next year. Also, we mentioned it briefly last week during our non-meeting. When we have a snow and ice deficit, we can amortize that over the next 3 years, and we'll be doing that. As you saw in the presentation, this year's snow and ice deficit is about $700K, so we'll split that up over the next 3 years and pay for it. That's all we can do at this point. But no layoffs, and we limp along.
We're gonna split up the snow and ice thing?
Yes, so we can pay it over the next 3 years.
Is that, we want to do that, or is that just like the only reason I say it is because next year it's going to happen, and then we can just keep doing that every 3 years? Every one to whatever?
you're gambling, because if we do have that year that is,
Right.
2015 year.
yeah, the 2015 year. Of
That's the
course,
only-
that was a
that's the
special
only-
exception for
That's the
that.
only time that we've done that while I've been on the committee.
And if we don't do that, we have to cut how much more?
700K.
A third, 2/3 of that, right?
Well, if you want to pay for it now, it would be 700K upfront, or you could space it out over the next 3 years.
So we're at somewhere around like 2.
I mean, do you have the historical data on this? Like, is it?
Well, last year, we were 200 and something thousand.
Yeah, we pay for that with free cash.
Yeah. So, some years, you just don't know. The year before that, it was probably 4 or 5.
400,000.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, there may be money left over that we can do some year-end transfers to cover some of it, but it's hard to say.
Guys, so that's it's one of the only things that scares me is just like, what happens if next
What
year we
happens
get
next year?
just, or in 2 years or whatever?
I don't disagree, but I'm not recommending that we take anything else out of stabilization. If we were to have something next year that was bad and we were running up against it, then we may make that recommendation next year that, okay, look, we have to deal with this snow and ice, no way around it. Maybe we recommend that, or, again, we look at, there were quite a few things in capital, like I said, that we didn't do. We'd like to put them back on next year. Don't know that we'll be able to. I do know we have done some things this year, some sales of property. There have been some significant building permits and building projects that will help generate some free cash next year, but beyond that, I don't know. We really need some significant new growth in this community, and unfortunately, it's just not likely to happen.
A booming economy wouldn't hurt.
A booming economy would be great right now.
A bit more state aid.
That wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. I mean, there's a
State aid that at least kept pace with inflation.
Right, so I did some research earlier. Net state aid increased by 1.6%, as we've talked about before, but the proposed state budget's almost 7%.
Yeah.
So that hurts.
It doesn't, I think it did last week, it doesn't make sense.
Now, does the state aid go out proportionally based on like the size of the towns, or
There's
is it
a-
like go out about the same?
There's a formula.
Okay, so it's not like,
It's not
they pick their favorite?
it's not simply population.
I think they do.
The formula from what I understand is complicated.
It's complicated
But
enough that
it's-
every year they have a course on it.
Yeah, but it
That everybody
has
walks
to
away
do
from
with
not knowing.
population, but also like average income and housing and various different factors that go into it that determine what each town gets, each town or city.
I always like to point out that Abington and Rockland seem pretty similar, but Rockland gets $5 or $6 million more in Chapter 70 funds every year. It's like, oh, must be nice.
So a little bit on the favorites.
Is anybody voting for that?
It seemed like a
What's that?
State rep, state senator would be who to talk to on that. That's a state control.
When you say, sorry.
State-controlled formula.
When you say pretty similar, like similar,
I mean,
all the things you just said.
what are the differences between Abington and Rockland? They're similar towns. No
I just didn't know, like,
Abington's Rockland's a little
population.
more city-ish.
demographics. You know,
I don't know if I want to say anything on a recorded.
Scott has to keep his impartiality, so, which is wise. Other questions? Because those are good ones.
Maybe this is something I should just be able to figure out.
No.
No, probably not.
No, and, you know, yeah, that's a very, and, I mean, we could spend a lot of time just explaining that, and maybe actually some night Andrew should, but how we come up with those numbers, if that's what you were gonna ask.
Just, so the 4 million difference that we had to pull out of the one-time money, is that to get it to like what was asked for, or is that just to get it to break even?
This is to get us to a level service, which means
Okay.
it's not what was asked for. The police chief came in here and told you that beyond what we've already allocated for, he needs 4 more people. John Stone, same thing, but that is not included in this
Okay.
budget,
Yeah.
no.
So-
Just to get to what we did this year?
Just to get, level service, meaning we're not laying anybody off, we're providing the same service that you got last year, nothing will change. Same thing with the school, that, you know, but level service also, as you heard from these folks, is that we're just, you know, we're towing the line. What we did last year, we might be doing it level, but we're out, you know, John just said, we're out there just doing fields. We're not getting to the roads. We're not getting to the potholes. We're not fixing the sidewalks because we can't. Not that we don't want to. We just don't have the guys to do it. We've given them the equipment to do it, as he said, and we've done everything, you know, but give them the guys.
Okay.
If you have those sheet that's on the screen, the other blue one right there, that shows you what we've done to the budget in order to get it balanced.
Okay.
So that's all the requested positions, those have been removed. And
So this is what it's to, okay.
yeah, we've done some other management to get it down to balanced.
Yeah, so just that number, it's roughly 5% difference. And if we're getting 1.6, it just doesn't, again, it doesn't make sense. Like, somebody needs to try to make it make sense to,
Yeah, I mean, you
or
know,
somebody needs to start having conversations with them, saying,
do.
you guys need to start having tougher conversations and tougher, you know what I mean? Like,
we do, but keep in mind that.
I'm not saying you, I'm
No,
saying.
but I mean, it
the-
is
like
me.
a collective,
The,
like,
on the committee with the Mass Municipal Association, Mass Municipal Managers Association, very large lobbying group for municipalities, and they're based right up by the State House, and they're tracking this stuff all the time and advocating and talking and doing what they can, but the administration does what the administration
Right.
wants to do, and it's collectively it requires a much bigger change than a few
yeah.
senators and reps.
Sounds like you could change the decision every couple of years.
Theoretically,
And it's 100% done, or it's still
Their budget's not done.
Okay.
Their budget's got a ways to go. Not likely to improve.
Yeah, I got you.
Would love
never
to
does.
think so.
But I mean, how much pressure can we put on them? I'm not just talking about you. I'm saying you and 15 other towns or 20 other towns being like, look, this is not, this,
351 times.
Yeah, it's 351, but some of them are fine. Some of them made
That's what
out
I'm saying.
okay.
I'm talking-
They're not going to be advocating.
yeah.
But, I mean, as we've said at prior meetings, if you look around the South Shore, nobody's fine.
No, but, you know, a lot of it is our power and me and whoever else is on the committee, whether it manager from Situate and the manager from Rockland or whatever, go in there, we can pound our fists, but they're gonna say, okay, well, we hear you, we're gonna do the best we can. That's the only change that we can affect. We don't have any leverage, like you say, the community, rest of the voting public has all the leverage.
There's no real accountability.
As constituents, you do have the right to
Yeah.
request it. Like, we all,
Yeah,
as-
we-
Yeah, 100%.
they
go to our-
represent us, we have the right to ask them to advocate for us.
And I will
And
tell you
and
that
then
your
we have-
rep and your senator do advocate
No,
very
Allison's-
strongly for us.
Allison's pretty-
They do.
And then we have elections,
Yes.
local and statewide. So
I don't know about Lynch, but Allison's good. Right? Lynch is the other guy?
Lynch is federal.
I don't know who he,
Which is our US rep.
US rep?
Yeah.
Keenan is,
Keenan.
Standing at
I don't know,
Johnson.
I don't know.
he definitely advocates.
He's a good guy. They,
for us.
they spend, and they do advocate for us, but the way that the powers work up at the state
Yeah,
house.
yeah. Small fish, big pond.
It does carry weight, though, if they can say, I heard from this number of
Yes.
constituents.
Yeah.
So like, they're out there advocating for us, but we can help, we give them more power in their advocacy by
Yeah.
speaking up for
The
ourselves.
problem is, I don't know how many people watch this meeting, understand this, and then, I mean, look, we couldn't get a quorum, what, recently? Yeah,
Last week.
I mean, like, yeah, no, I'm talking about like for town meeting.
Oh, for town meeting.
Like, we're gonna get a quorum for that, so like, there's not enough
In the
people
fall.
involved, there's enough people to complain about something, but it's most likely a little too late, like, people need to do it now. I try to talk to as many people as I can, but I don't talk to that many. You know what I mean?
I have another question about this.
Yes.
Where it says school department level service, does that mean, and it's on the cut list, does that mean the school department isn't level service?
It is. So they came up with two numbers. One is what they would like, and then the second version is what they could live with, and that
Okay.
number is in here.
Okay, so you're just doing the, like, live with number?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a couple of questions too.
Yep. Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, so at the top, on the police, the 8 student officers, what was that?
That was,
I can pull it up. Hold on.
if I remember correctly from when the chief was here, they were working on a program.
Okay, was that the cadet program?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then, sorry, can you go back to the other screen?
Oh, yeah, hold on.
And then, down under inspectional services, don't fill zoning agent. Does that mean we won't have a zoning agent at all?
yeah, we actually had, we had a building commissioner, we had a zoning agent, and we had a local building inspector. Almost every community that I know of, the building commissioner is the zoning enforcement officer. There is not a zoning agent unless you get into the, Plymouth or Brockton, the larger communities that could use another person. So, yeah, and also out of discussions I've had with the current building commissioner and his staff, that they thought that that was a position that we did not need to refill.
How long has that not been filled?
I don't know, a month? Maybe a month?
Okay. I thought I had one more, but I think, Oh, and the two part-time compost site attendants, that was a new request. Was that to be able to keep the for additional hours at the
Yes.
compost site? Or was that
Yes.
extra manpower for the hours that currently
And
exist?
they were, I think, probably a little of both. They wanted to do enhanced hours, more hours. We'll still use volunteers up there, but we can only get so much time out of them.
It was primarily
So
additional
it wouldn't change
hours.
the
Yeah.
current hours?
No, no, whatever they've been doing, that's not planned to change. They were hoping to be able to do more.
Okay.
One thing that, again, one of the things that we were hoping to do with more hours up there would also to have been having a drop-off spot for like cardboard and stuff like that. A lot of the feedback that we're getting is, as we go out and, or as they go out and try and educate folks on what to do with your barrels, and when the barrels are overflowing or the covers don't close, is that, a lot of the complaints are, is we just, we get too much cardboard. I mean, a lot of people do depend on Amazon for their shopping and end up with a lot of boxes. So we were hoping to have a spot up at the compost place where they could drop that off. It just, we're just not gonna be able to do that right now. Maybe in the near future, we can work with Boston Carting and come up with something, but, it's not like you can just drop it off. It actually has to be put into something. It has to be kept dry, otherwise it gets contaminated. So it's just not gonna be,
Right.
not something we're gonna do right now, but something that we're still gonna be looking for and looking to do in the future.
Okay.
You can also educate people on like that they can burn it for their stoves and stuff like that, like,
Can they?
what?
Can they?
Can't we not?
I don't know.
For stoves. Like wood stoves, fireplaces, sorry.
I mean, I think you can
Something's wrong.
burn anything
Sounds wrong, yes.
technically,
Well,
but
not
like,
anything.
But then,
like
all you have to
any
do,
paper.
but all you have to do is call the fire department, tell them you're burning, or ask, excuse me.
I think you're allowed to burn brush, if that's what you're talking about. You definitely can burn brush. Brush is something very specific. It's not leaves, it's not grass, it's not cardboard, it's not paper.
How do you start it though?
It's not with gas.
Exactly, not with gasoline.
Not with all of your boxes that you've saved since Christmas. But yes, we can have that discussion with the deputy fire chief or the fire chief someday.
So,
Speaking of which, last question,
I don't believe that.
how are we reducing the overtime in the fire department?
The fire chief, when we asked him if there were places he could make cuts, he said that that was one of the spots that he felt that with the way things are working there, that we would be able to do it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Not a problem?
Abby, what were you gonna?
I was gonna ask, like, is that something we could, like, the fire overtime? If that was something we could guarantee, but Barbara beat me to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no guarantees in anything,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
definitely not a guarantee, but
And again, he looked at use and in the spirit, I mean, most of the departments, when we ask and talk to them, they do look for these things, because they do want to work with us and work together. But there's also, in this committee, I don't think we had to do it last year, but there have been other years, and many years, where they have gone maybe a slight bit over on their overtime or other things, and we've done transfers at the end of the year from other departments that maybe had money left over, or worst case scenario, there is a reserve fund.
Okay.
other questions? All right. Let's move into the warrant
You know
articles.
what? Sorry.
Yep, go.
I have
Nope.
something wrong in my brain, Matthew. So.
It's a very
if
open-ended comment, Greg.
It is, I just can't not ask the question. So, Scott,
Yes, sir.
if we did, and again, this is probably controversial, so Greg's just asking a question. If we didn't do like some of the larger things here, like purchase laptops, do we have to do that this year?
Yes.
So if we don't do purchase laptops, we will have students at the schools that don't have laptops.
But like, I know that there's like a useful amount of time that they use, and my son's had one for a couple of years, or however long he's had, years, I don't even know.
I think this year.
That's,
No, he's had it for years.
This is the first, one of the first questions that Andrew and I asked.
Yes, yeah.
With the school department, and not just to pick on the school department, but
Yes, no, I
any
get it.
large capital items.
Yes.
That anybody puts forward to us. It's like, can we do without this for a year? Can we do without it? Is it something you do actually need that many? So it's, yeah, I mean, we do go through that exercise, and that's what came back. It's like, no, we can't. This is what the program is, and
Like, for instance, if you went to them and said, instead of, again, this is difficult.
I did say, and I did go to them, and I did try.
No, but if you said,
Before you ask it,
if
I
you
can
said,
tell you.
instead of 240,000, you're going to get 220,000. Shake hands, walk away. And I know it's difficult. I'm not saying you're not I'm just saying I don't, because that's not going to save this entire whole thing. You have to have that conversation with basically every one of these line items to take out 10%.
Yeah.
And so it's a very easy answer that I'm putting forward, which I know you've already had, which is how we got from what would they want to this is what you're kind of going to get. I just don't know if it's stuff like that you could say to them, like, hey, or even just buying this many laptops. How many laptops do we need? Is there any sort of, not grants, but like, is there any, discount for getting some of this down? And the answer could be no. Again, I'm not saying you haven't had the conversations with them. If we did have those things where we said, sandy bottom gravity filter repair, you're gonna get 180 grand for it, figure it out. Maybe they can't. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
I do have to deal with that a lot.
The problem is that they've already done it, they've gone through the exercise. If that's all we appropriate and then they can't get it done, that could very well mean that we're just gonna have to close the pool for the summer. And if that's the case, then let's just close the pool for the summer.
Right.
Well, and if that's the case, to go to the printout from the DPW, the revenues will go zoom all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I mean, unfortunately, but that sort of, with certain things, the school department, to go back to them, they go through these exercises. Felicia doesn't just put this together, but that school committee does the same work that you're doing.
Sure.
And with all of this, and they come with a budget to Andrew and I that we say, it's just not gonna work this year, we can't do it. Come back, do what you can, and I think we have that conversation with her.
It's been going on since
Several times.
August,
Yeah.
approximately.
Yeah, we started as early as we could, so,
Andrew.
When you're done.
good.
Oh, you mentioned grants and education, and this is sort of unrelated, but it's important also to remember. In fiscal '24, we did about 2.6 million in federal grants, and about half of that is education grants. And with everything that's happening, that's at risk. Who knows what's going to happen in the future, but that's a lot of federal money that might not be there anymore. So it's another thing to keep in mind.
No, 100%. That's why, that's one of the big reasons why I'm saying, like, they're probably gonna have to figure something out.
Abby.
I have a thought, and I know there's no money for new people, but like down the road, a thing you could think of, because I know every single department has came in and talked all about all the budgets they were writing and how they were strapped for time. So if we maybe hired like 2 or 3 people in the town hall, when there's more time and more money, and their job was strictly grant writing, and like someone in a different department.
We've actually
We
looked.
have looked into that in
Then
the
that could
past,
save
yeah.
people's time and get more money.
The planning department is fairly, it's as robust as it is now, that's come about over the last couple of years. For that particular reason was, I think it was, Liz was here part-time, and that's all we had when I first started.
Yep.
And gradually, we made that full-time and then got a second person. They spend a ton of time, but that was one of their main functions. That and a lot of grants was simplified too. I think the state kind of realized how onerous the process was, so they actually created a couple under the Baker administration, a lot of one-stop shopping type grant portals, which is great. We have, like on the bridge, we have come and asked for money to specifically hire grant writers to come and do stuff for specialized projects that we know there's money out there if we can find a way to get it. So I think that model works pretty good right now. And you know, it's what John said. I mean, staff has been amazing at getting a lot of grants. I mean, you know, one thing to really highlight that, you know, amongst everything you're saying, the amount of work that they got done over the last few years with grant money, I think he said it was close to $20 million worth of work. So, and that's internal. That's, you know, Kelly and Jeannie are doing that, and Paula, John. So, and like I said, we have Liz and Kevin in here doing it. There's a lot of people working on it. The police department, within there, a couple of lieutenants, and I think one of the sergeants have actually been pretty successful in getting grants for them, stuff that comes specially to them. And same thing at the fire department. A couple of them had worked together. I think it was a fight. One of the firefighters worked with one of the captains, or a couple of the firefighters, and they got a grant for a brush truck. Sound right? A couple of years ago, and so, but that is their forte. So just having somebody here at town hall wouldn't have been able to do that. And the ones that the police department got, it was stuff that was very unique, and it's important that they were the ones who were in charge of that. So, like I said, that part, I think it seems to work right now without having more bodies.
I was just trying to think of how we could free up people's time a bit more so they could.
Well, but, you know, and that's like, you know, we're not putting Jeannie and Paula and, we're not putting them behind any lawnmowers, so we're not freeing them up for that. But, you know, they do spend a lot of time out, like, you know, once the other things start kicking in, they're busy with the activities, with the programs and everything else, so.
Other questions? All right. Let's move on to warrant articles.
Barbara, do you have your warrant handy, or do you need me to email you a copy?
Well, if you can email me a copy, I don't have it on me where I am now.
Andrew, do you have it? And if so, can you put it
I
on?
can email it to you too, Andrew.
That would
On
be
the Zoom.
lovely. I think I have an outdated version.
Yeah, I want to make sure you have well, that last one from Sean Riley would be the one that we're using. I might have made like a tweak here and there, but not likely because he just sent it, but let's see.
While we're doing that, why don't you state your name and address for the people watching at home?
Hi, Steve Wakeland, 47 Buckboard Lane.
Thanks, Steve. Which articles did you want us to?
So on behalf of Strawberry Valley, I'm chairman of Strawberry Valley. So there are two articles in here that popped up since Strawberry Valley did present to you about a month ago. So I just wanted to kind of quickly just go through those 2 minutes, and I'm done.
Yep.
First of all, I want to say it's not a lot of fun sitting up here, okay? So,
We have vacancy
We do.
oh, brother.
next year. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you.
Talking to the moderator.
Thank you. But first article, 18, land donation from the Truffin family. We're so excited for this. This has been in the works for 5, 6, 7 years. Larry Truffin abuts the golf course and has been very nice meeting with us, and has kind of followed through on his original discussion. So this article is to get another 20 acres of land that abuts Strawberry Valley, and this is just it's just what we've been waiting for many years. So I'd like to recommend that we approve this article. I don't really see any problems with the article.
Excellent.
Is there anything we have to do to that land?
Funny you asked that. No, what we plan on doing is getting a course designer to come in and help us figure out, with an additional 20 acres, what we can do to improve the course. I've spoken before at this that it's a short course, and it keeps golfers away, better golfers. So what we'd like to do is, lengthen
the course a bit.
20 acres wouldn't be enough to make it an 18-hole course or an executive course, but we could certainly make it a better course.
Steve, where are those 20 acres?
Yeah.
Glad you asked. I should have brought a map, but so if you know the course, the third hole is a dog leg left. You come up a hill and go left, and the fourth hole is beside that. It's the land past the fourth hole. So it's near some of the third, fourth, and onto the fifth. It's a beautiful piece of property.
I expect some money.
Okay, thank you.
You,
I
pardon?
expect some money back because I have plenty of balls in that guy's yard. Whenever you're done. Exactly, that's
There you
literally
go.
what it is.
There you go.
That's a down payment.
Yeah, it's yeah, so, the 28 is just phenomenal. Okay, and the other article is Article 28. Okay, and this, at a selectmen's meeting recently, this article was discussed, and there was a vote to sell the property. There's a house located between the 6th and 7th holes up at Strawberry. It's the last house leaving Abington on your right, and a decision was made to put this in front of the townspeople for the sale of the property. And it was a 4-1 vote, although this says 5-0. It was a 4-1, so I'm gonna ask somewhere that gets, I don't know who I have to ask.
Amended.
Yeah, that's not for publication.
Oh, it isn't?
No,
Okay.
that was that's to be filled in later and stuff.
Okay. I was hoping it would be.
Before this actually gets published, which will be like on the 7th, all the votes will be in,
Will be taken.
yeah, the proper votes will be in here.
Oh, okay, so this one isn't 5.
Yeah, that's just like a
But,
cut and paste from,
okay. We just, there's several reasons we don't want this property to be sold. And I'm not gonna go through them here. We'll probably get up at town meeting and discuss them. But we just feel, we voted 5-0 against selling the property. And it's not the house that we want, it's the property. It's really a thumbnail located between the 6th and 7th holes, and we could use that property for a number of things. And now we've just got 20 acres given to us, and now we're selling some of the property. So I know 2 good reasons to sell it. One, it's going to be income, assume going to the free cash.
General fund.
General fund. And we shouldn't be landlords, and we agree that we're okay not being landlords. So if push comes to shove and if it doesn't get sold, we would be more than willing to get rid of the house. Would love to put a storage facility up there, put bathrooms up there, and again, course enhancements, trying to make a better course. And our job as Strawberry Valley, members is to try to make the course a better. And selling this property is not going to do that.
When you make that argument, is there any way to show, like, by keeping this is how much extra money we could make?
You see, Greg, a decision's going to have to be made by the town when we get this new design, whether it's going to be worth the while. I mean, we could put $2 million into the course and raise our revenue, $50,000 a year. I just don't know. I don't know. So the answer is I don't know. But one of our biggest complaints is restrooms on the course. We don't have any. And we had always talked about the plumbing is already at the house, electricity's at the house. We could put restrooms right there. And along with that, whether we, what we put there. I'd like to put a storage facility there, because if you were to go up there today, the barn is loaded full of equipment and golf carts. There's no room to walk around.
And you gotta have a place to sell stuff there. Food.
Well, we have that in the clubhouse.
Yeah. I know it's only 9, but
It's just been very difficult.
It is golf.
It's been very difficult over the years to try to get people to come in and have lunch there. Because they pay, there's a lot of 9-hole golfers, and they come back and they leave. And it's just, we sell a lot of water, a lot of soda, a lot of beer, golf balls, golf gloves, tees, but beyond that,
You need something between the fourth and fifth hole.
well,
You need something at the halfway point.
we need something between the sixth and seventh hole.
There you go.
No, yeah,
I see what you
something
did
people
there.
would come in and spend a little more money. I mean, that's all I had. So thank you. Oh, so I'd ask that we do not move forward
With the sale.
with the sale. But we're gonna speak at town meeting, which is,
Roughly how much is this place worth?
my guess, and,
a guess.
500,000?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we just had an auction, 78 Linda today, 350,000 for a small postage stamp of a lot, smaller than that. Little single-family dwelling on it, probably in worse condition. So I would think that this would probably be close to 500,000. The reason that the selectmen brought this forward is obviously along with the discussions that we've had regarding the budget. It's not, this isn't gonna make or break the budget, it isn't, but we think it's important to put stuff like this forward in front of the town to let them know that, that they are doing everything they can. We're not sitting on stuff that we shouldn't be sitting on, and if there's money out there that, we're gonna make sure that the taxpayers get it back, or get it.
Yeah.
However
I
the
mean-
town votes on it, that's what we'll do.
And that's totally understood. It makes sense. I mean, but it's a short-term fix, and we'll have to live with a family on the golf course for the rest of the time the golf course is there. And we already get complaints from the tenant that golf balls are hitting the house, going into the yard. I'm just fearful. Small point.
He's complaining, is he?
I picked these balls up out of their yard. I'm just afraid with a family. It's just one of the points that will be discussed at town meeting.
Were those legit your balls?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
But I would say to somebody who goes to live at a place on a golf course, complaining about balls in your yard is like complaining about noise if you buy a house at an airport. Like, it's really not.
Well, but Greg, the first person that gets hit, it's just.
Yeah, no, I hear
Like
you.
this guy, we've had a very good person in the home, an older gentleman at this point, doesn't use the yard.
Yeah.
He maintains the yard, but he doesn't use the yard. And again, that's just one small point. I don't want to dwell on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You need them.
Thank
You're
you,
right.
Steve.
You sure?
Do you guys have like the bucket on the counter that you sell?
Oh, yeah.
All right, make sure they get in
It's
there.
$3.
Make sure they get it.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you for your time.
I'll get you a copy of that talent bank form for next year.
Good, thank you.
All right. Back to the top of the warrant. Article 1, snow and ice. We talked about this already,
We hope it doesn't change.
hoping it doesn't change, hoping there's no late in the season activity.
They're calling for a dusting on Sunday into Monday.
Are they?
Tell them
That was
to-
supposed to rain.
Tell them to go away.
Is it really?
It feels too warm for that.
Depends on what time of day. Because when I leave in the morning, does not feel too warm. Middle of the day, absolutely. So hopefully we go towards the warmer trend. Article 2, payment of a prior year's bill. Do we have an amount yet there?
We have no prior year bills yet.
Okay. This would be last fiscal year bills. and
Correct.
We have nothing? as
Not
of
yet.
Right this minute?
Nobody's fessed up to it yet. so.
Okay, well, we like that, knocking on wood. Article 3, waste pickup, we have talked significantly about. Does anyone have anything more to bring up on the
Is
waste
this
pickup?
just what we talked about, that plan?
The
Okay.
trash and recycle, removing that from the general budget and adding an enterprise account and a fee. Barbara, anything on that?
No, Matt, sorry, took me
That-
a minute to get the mute button off.
That's
Nope.
okay. Sarah, anything? No. All right. Article 4 is the budget, which we went over. Anyone have anything else on the budget for tonight? Article 5 is capital plan. We've already talked about many of the things on here. Any other things to point out?
No, I don't think so.
So I know it's only 20,000, but the bollards are definitely this year thing.
I definitely have to get them at the senior center. I mean, we saw it just recently, what happened up in the dollar store. I think that the senior center, they've been really nervous and concerned. So it's one of two things. I either do the bollards or I reconfigure and restripe that whole parking lot. It's about the same amount of money by the time we're done, so. Yeah, I think we're just, it's a safety issue.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else specific they wanted to discuss on the capital plan? I assume cruiser replacement is one cruiser based off of that cost?
This is actually, if we go forward with the lease plan that we had talked about.
Okay.
And he had introduced, as a matter of fact, Andrew and I think I'm meeting with them, or you're not meeting, I'm meeting with them.
Friday.
When?
Friday?
Oh, God, no. Yeah, it sounds right. Apparently I'm meeting with them Friday.
Okay. Just to remind people watching from home as they're looking over the capital plan, things like Section C, the water department, saying that it comes from water retained earnings. That is not coming from the operating budget or free, well, none of the capital plan comes from the operating budget, but that's not coming from free cash. That comes from the water department's fund that they have that includes the fees, money left over from previous years, et cetera, et cetera.
One thing to note in this plan, and as you said, we do make the note, whether it's off to the right, whether it's coming from free cash or retained earnings from, water. We don't have any sewer projects this year. Strawberry Valley is also retained earnings.
Yep.
But there is a couple of items in there, the Public Works dump truck and the repair project that we did for the Cotter Room HVAC. They were actually using old articles. We're closing out old articles that had balances on them to cover these costs, so.
The articles are related enough, or, because.
No, I think as
Because
long as we do,
with past articles, we're very restricted in what we're allowed to spend the money on.
yeah, if they were related enough, I wouldn't even have to bring them to town meeting, but
Okay.
that's why we're going to. And there's also,
So
I
will it
think
be
there's a
in
couple
the-
of them are borrowing too.
Will it be in separate articles, or will it be in the wording of the capital plan?
It'll be in the wording of the motion, yeah.
To say that
So we'll include,
we'll move the money from article such and such from year such and such.
Correct.
To fund this. Because I know it's very specific of if we have an article that designates, going back to my early days on the committee, the Garavanter lift, which I'm sure Barbara remembers, for, I think it was the Frollo, that we had an article for that the money was not used, and it took forever to get that transferred back to use for something.
we ended up transferring it back to use for the design of the ramp that we
Ramp,
can't afford to build now.
Yep.
But it is a beautiful design, and one of these days, we're gonna build it.
I do remember
The Garavanta.
Yep.
I do remember that, Matt, the Garavan.
Talked about that an awful lot years and years ago at this point.
Well, that money for something we couldn't even get parts for.
All right. Article 6 is the community preservation budget, which we went over with them tonight. Anyone have anything, questions, anything they want to talk about on that? All right. Article 7, payment of sick leave buyback. It's a very round number for sick leave buyback. Is that?
That's what I got. I came from the water department, and it must be a fairly good number because that's our half of it.
It's a lot of sick leave.
Yeah, we've kind of, it must be somebody who had been there for quite some time because we've done away with that kind of buyback in our contracts.
Yep. Looks like taking a few of these articles together, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, these are sort of those housekeeping ones that we do every year.
Student transportation, which we talked about when the school department was here. Health imperatives, which we've talked about. It's a local service. Arc of the South Shore, another local service. That service,
Is that really only $2,500?
that's what we typically,
Yeah, that's what they,
Do.
that's every year. It's,
I think there are various communities that contribute similar amounts.
I would expect it to be higher as well.
Matching grant funding, 25,000. The St. Patrick's Day Parade overtime and detail, which we talked about very briefly earlier tonight.
yeah, we've actually, I think last year, and I think it was 10,000 the year before, I think it was probably 10,000. We've upped it to try and capture more of the costs. It still doesn't necessarily include all of the overtime that all the departments are putting in. But this is getting us closer.
Yep. So this would be so that the DPW chief and other departments don't have to account for it in their budget, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Would it be worth trying to get the DPW overtime in here and other department?
Yeah,
overtimes
I'll
see if we
talk to
can save
John,
some
but I
costs?
mean, at this point, what it's gonna do is it's gonna come out of stabilization. We're at that point now, there's no other place to draw it from that I know of. And it isn't counted for in his budget now.
Right. I'm just thinking, so we can see it, so we
Well, I
know.
think getting that numbers from him, I think I would like to be able to present that at some point, that the all-in number is, yeah. The fire department, oddly enough, I think they're the ones who, because they mostly are in the parade and stuff, I don't think that they have a lot of overtime for it, if any. I would think they'd probably have a little, but I think the majority of it is actually the police department. And this year, he's done a really enhanced security program, just because of what happened in New Orleans, and they're sort of, everybody's on high alert and high risk. I don't think there's any credible risk, but it's worth a much better safe than sorry.
Anything else on that one? Number 13, close fund deficits.
Yeah, do we have any?
There are, but we can wait another year for that because there's no funding source for it.
Okay.
Number 14, FY23 opioid settlement. This, I think I saw in the budget under the free cash
Yeah.
utilization.
So I'll just recap the saga from the beginning. When the opioid settlement first arrived, there wasn't any way for the towns to spend the money except to have it go through free cash and be appropriated. We were waiting for the state to come in with a legislative fix to allow us to treat it as a grant fund, but eventually we heard from the state that they wouldn't fix it, so we just let fiscal '23 funds go through free cash, and we never put it back into the settlement fund. We actually established a opioid settlement stabilization fund to deal with it. And then right after we did that, the state came in and said, hey, you
Here's
can use
what
it as a grant now. So the last thing that we'll need to do is just move this fiscal '23 money into that fund, and then we'll be okay to suspend it as grant money.
So this is just moving money that's already allocated for this
Correct.
to the appropriate place for it.
What is this money for?
So there were legal settlements with the opioid manufacturers and distributors, and where the state has distributed it to the towns and cities in order to spend on opioid remediation. The Board of Health, and there's a committee for it as well.
Yep.
There's a couple of projects and expenditures that they're working on to spend this money.
Okay.
So basically, the allowable uses would be for things like education, helping people who have addictions, helping, like if there's shelters in the area that come to us and say, we need some funds for something, we could use it. We can use it for training and education with police officers to help. I think
Can you use it for that stuff?
mustache
Narcan.
cutters?
Narcan?
Narcan.
Thanks.
Yeah, I believe they have
The
used
only
it for
reason
that.
why, I thought I saw that in the budget somewhere.
Yeah, the health department was saying they have Narcan and they do like
Yeah,
the training
that was
on
in
how
the
to use
budget,
it.
so That's the only reason I asked.
Yeah, I don't think, yeah, I don't know whether it was in our budget to buy it or if it was just a part of our budget.
I don't think it's a specific line item for that, but I think it's part of what they budget for
Okay.
supplies.
But yeah, I do know that, and actually, Lindsay's kind of has been spearheading in that whole
Yeah.
committee. So. And I will say too, that of the area towns that have spent the money, we're actually one of the biggest spenders on actually using it. A lot of towns are just sitting on it because they don't know what to do. But we've been really good and careful about making sure that it's getting used properly
Good.
for what it's intended.
Other questions there? All right, Article 15, Hillside Cemetery. What was this one? $1,000 for caring for and maintaining Hillside Cemetery.
Yeah, so there's a cemetery out on 139. It's been there obviously for quite a long time. It was mostly just the people who have plots there, and their families had it, and it was in a trust. They pretty much, all the trustees have sort of died or are dying, or they are not caring for it, they don't want it, they can't find people to care for it. So it's becoming, it's either we take it or it becomes abandoned and we get stuck with it. The cleanest way to do it is, and they've requested that we do this, they started this request when I got here in 2019 or 2020. It was just something that I really didn't want to do, just because now it's just one more thing for DPW to take care
Right.
of. But unfortunately, it's something that has to be done. And there are historic graves there, and there are soldiers that have been buried there and veterans. So it is something that we do. Ultimately, we're going to end up with it. So this is the easiest, cleanest way for us to take control of it. The $1,000 is enough to probably mow it maybe twice a year, once in the summer, once in the fall, or something to that effect, whatever, spring and fall. We're not going to, anybody who owns a plot there, and this has happened recently, if they'll have to find somebody else to dig the holes and do the burials. We're not going to take care of that. We're not looking to sell graves. We're not looking to get into the cemetery business.
Which is a very
We're not,
complicated
it's not a
business.
profitable business. I don't know if you've seen the land up in that area too. There's a lot of stumps and rocks.
Where is it again?
139 area, like just because you're getting into Holbrook.
Yeah, I think it's like almost like near the preschool playmates. I made a point.
I think it's after, but like before Hallamore, but on the other side of the road.
Opposite, yeah, opposite
What's
side.
Very small.
The
I'm gonna
tree-
have to look
Across from the
at
tree guy,
on
right?
Facebook.
Yeah, the tree guy.
So would the town take ownership of it or just care of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that then potentially fall under community preservation since it has that historical connection?
No, it would if we wanted to like maybe restore the headstones that were old, but it wouldn't to make, wouldn't
Not
for
really
like mowing it,
necessary.
no. No, but, and I will say, and Adam is amazing when it comes to stuff like this, and he can rally people, he can get, you talk about getting people to come and donate time to take care of stuff, he's gotten them to do it at the other cemeteries, and
That's great.
yeah, you know, it may be something we talked the Boy Scouts into helping out one year or a couple of years, and getting up there before Memorial Day or whatever, and doing any weeding and stuff like that, so, you know, we'll do what we can, and we'll do what we have to. I wish it came with an endowment, it doesn't.
Anything else on the Hillside Cemetery? Okay, Article 16, Town Meeting Quorum Bylaw. Looking to go to zero quorum.
We can go to whatever the voters feel is appropriate.
The wording I see says change it from 150 to 0.
Yep.
I know after we were not able to have the fall town meeting because we did not get a quorum, that's certainly more relevant. It's the first time I remember not getting a quorum in the
Yeah.
time that I've lived here.
Whitman, I do know that we had a large quorum number. We had some difficult times early on. But, you know, I think that
I know the argument made by the people that I have heard speaking in favor of zero quorum is that it typically has raised attendance at town meeting because people go and aren't worried about it being canceled the way that it was with the fall town meeting.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely arguments either way. I think it's important, though, to recognize that we did lower it
During
2019, or 2020, 21, I think also we lowered it. So I think that's why we're always able to get quorums recently. We don't like to look for controversial things to throw in there, like nip bans or something like that, to try and get people to come. But the important part is that there is a core group of people that will be there, and it's right in that 100-person spot that it's unfair to them, because they are always there, that they will be there, and they were there and a few days before Thanksgiving for the special, and they take their time and take their night out, and we can't get something done because we can't get 50 more people out of 9,000 or 10,000
Yeah.
voters. It's, you know, again, it's a decision for the town to make.
Yep.
You know, there's a number that isn't zero that's a little bit more palatable. 150 is high.
Can we, like, say, I see your 100 number in the comment. If, like, say
Yeah.
people start talking at the meeting and they want to do 100 instead of 0, is that a change we could do, or is it 150 or 0 by this bylaw?
So with any warrant article, there's an initial motion that's made, but Anyone at town meeting can request to either make an amendment to the motion or essentially motion in the opposite of what the motion was
Okay.
made, and things like that. They can definitely be edited. The moderator will, moderator understands very well the intricacies and bylaws of what you're allowed to do, but will take things in the proper order as to which way things vote. But people can absolutely propose amendments to motions that are made at town meeting.
Okay, I didn't know if that then had to wait till like the next go.
Nope. Good question.
No, and I have a feeling that it won't be zero. I don't think that's something that would pass ultimately, but who knows, maybe.
Other questions or comments on that one? All right, 17, false alarm bylaw.
Yeah, did the chief talk about this while he was here?
I don't think, actually, I missed I missed round 2 with the chief.
I think I.
This is the police.
Police, no. Police chief. I
Yeah,
don't think talked
so
about
this is, they actually get quite a few false alarms, commercial ones.
it. They went through a stretch several years ago at this point, where they were posting them online every time they got one
Really?
to bring
Attention to it, sure.
bring attention to the fact that they have to respond to a lot of false alarms.
Yeah, so this is to help, this is rather than post their names online, which apparently didn't do any good, this will hurt
They
people
weren't really-
financially.
They weren't really posting names, they were
No.
just posting when
The
they,
fact,
like
yeah.
each time they had to respond to a false alarm, and it was telling how often they were doing it, so.
And so it's, if you get frequent flyers, this is the best way to deal with it. If we did it in Whitman, I think it helped there. There are opportunities, there's warnings prior to the fine, an actual fine. But, they're taking away resources from the rest of the town if you're tying a supervisor and an officer up because they have to respond, or it could be, depending, you might send a couple officers and the supervisors who,
So if I read it correctly, the fine would be $300.
ultimately, that's
But
like,
it wouldn't.
you
be
wouldn't get
for-
that the first
You wouldn't
time.
get that the first time.
No.
It's like
yeah, you get a warning and.
written warning, written warning, $300 fine each subsequent time, something like that.
Yeah, it gets,
So, does not seem onerous, but seems like something that could hopefully
yeah, and like,
help to make things more efficient.
yeah, and I don't, the issues have not been on residential properties. The issues have been on commercial properties. Not that we say that the same would apply, and like if we had a residential property that was frequently, having false alarms, but this has really been a commercial issue.
Anyone have anything else for false alarm article? Article 18 is the gift of land to Strawberry Valley, or to the town for Strawberry Valley, which we discussed already. 19 is the Hancock Chestnut Street intersection improvement project. What specifically are we
This is.
voting on with this?
This is merely to authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire the land and the easements. I think we did this.
Abutting properties, the property owners have all been
They've all been, they've,
they have had ongoing discussions with the property owners. Chris on our board is one of them, so he's very familiar with what's going on with that, and that they are fully communicating.
yes, I think they're as eager to see and have less accidents as anybody.
I don't think anybody wants lots of accidents right outside their house, so. And this intersection has been a sore subject since before I moved to town, so. Article 20, South Shore VOTEC Agreement Amendment.
Yeah, that's just, that was from the special,
Yep,
and I feel it's just important that we
go through with
we
that.
go through the motion and have the vote of the towns for the record. Enough towns already approved
Voted
it.
for it, that
Yeah.
it's already in place, but it's us going on record with it.
Right.
Anyone have anything for that? Article 21, zoning bylaw for accessory dwelling units. This is
The new,
mobile shed,
no, they're not mobile.
not mobile, but like deliverable.
They could be. They could, yeah, it's an accessory dwelling unit, so it could be a modular unit, but it also could be stick-built, it could be, I think it also could be within the dwelling unit. I think it'd be something we'd probably, if you guys want more information, we could ask Liz to come and speak to it. She had a lot to do with the regulations on it. Does it, as far as I know, it doesn't have to be a separate building.
Okay.
It has to be a separate,
Typically,
Dwelling unit.
unless there is direct financial,
it could be though.
unless there's direct financial impact, we typically stay out of zoning
Right.
bylaws. This one seems at least gray area as to
Well, the interesting part about it is,
raise property values.
building permit fees, property
Hopefully
values.
not decrease property values, depending on the quality of the
You know, I met
unit.
at one of the last international city manager meetings. It was a lot of folks from the western part of the states that had already implemented this years ago, and if it's done as we're doing it in a thoughtful way, it sort of blends in what it does. It's not meant, you're not going to get families with kids moving into these units. They're sized for the couple that might want to downsize, but to be able to stay in the home, and maybe the kids take the bigger house. Or maybe it's they just, having a tough time making the payments and a little bit of additional income, but it's not, again, done properly, they seem to actually work out in most parts of the country, so I think it's gonna work out fairly well here. People are already asking for them. I think ultimately, like I said, we don't have a lot of opportunities for new growth, but this is a small one and certainly worth. And I don't know that that's enough that the finance committee wants to be voting anything beyond deferring to the planning board.
Yep. We can decide on that next week.
Yeah, and the other part of it is this part of it, the ADUs in general, as part of Mass General Law, we have to allow it, we're allowed to create some reasonable guidelines and not really restrictions, but guidelines on how and where they're placed, so that's what this is.
Yep. All right, Article 20, anyone have anything else on that one?
And I think you have zoning right up until like
Yeah, I was
27.
gonna say 22 is another zoning article. Use chart and change the single-family use in some zones to N, which I assume is no.
I believe so.
So changing, what was SP?
Special permit.
Okay. So taking a few zones and instead of allowing single-family houses as special permit, not allow them at all. It seems to be taking the decision out of the hand of the,
I didn't actually look at any of the zoning articles. I wasn't, most, other than the ADU one, most of them were just submitted by Liz and updated by Sean, and I believe they've had their hearings on them already, but a couple of them, I think they voted to table which I think the ground-mounted solar one, and then there's another one that was submitted by the building commissioner of Inspectional Services Department. I believe that they wanted to table that one also. A butters notice requirement, I think that one's probably staying in. It was just pretty minor stuff.
23 looks like they accidentally put the wrong category, like the wrong definition in one of the sections. It says a typographical error.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess in that TC district, they're allowed to do that.
And ground-mounted solar,
Wouldn't you?
no,
No.
fire away.
Wouldn't you want that to be, like, the special permit thing, what would, if they can still do it by getting a permit from us, why change it to yes? Wouldn't they still have to get a permit to
Well,
ship something?
the Y means you can get a permit by right. The SP means you have to go in front of the zoning board of appeals to get the permit, or the planning board maybe, to get a special permit, which is a lot
Yeah,
longer,
the
and more
special
expensive of
permit
a
process
process.
is a harder, more complicated process than the simple.
Can you go up for a second? Wouldn't that be, like, that's, I'm assuming, that's why a lot of these zoning things confuse me, because they're always like, oh, it's just clerical, and then if you really think about it, it's not just like clerical. So as of right now, 1, 2-family or duplex dwelling on a separate lot is not allowed in TC without a special permit. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, so they
That
want
is,
to change it to.
that is certainly
yes.
what the,
What's TC? Anyone know?
I'm sure.
off the top of my head, I don't.
I don't remember.
Barbara,
It could be like.
Yes, Matt?
do you happen to know what the TC zoning district is? I know the Muppet district is the multi-use.
I don't off the top of my head.
That's why we don't talk zoning here.
Mind getting that one to us? Get that to Greg
Yeah.
during the week.
It's just, again, the only reason why I go back up there for 1 second, sorry, it's the only yes.
I know, but, it's,
Yep.
Like everything else is no for, and I don't know, or special permit. I don't know.
maybe that's the 2-family section of town. The TC means,
Two.
Is it transit?
no, that's the transit, the TOD, I think is the
Yeah.
transit
Yeah.
district.
Transit overlay
Yeah.
Overlay
district.
district,
Right.
yeah.
Where is it?
Article 23.
It's the zoning article that you guys usually
No,
just
Barbara-
defer.
Barbara means where in town.
Oh,
Is the TC district, right, Barbara?
Yes, that's exactly.
I'll ask Liz and get the answers for the next meeting.
when they put this in, again, sorry, I'm just gonna go on my stupidity. When they put this in here, if they had definitions of these things,
Well, they probably do in the zoning bylaw.
yeah, I'm saying, but they're putting them in front of the townspeople, who would really know this?
Town's not gonna care either.
Whoever from the planning board talks about this. will present-
Liz will get
present
up and
that.
explain it at town meeting, and
Sure.
she will say what the district is,
Okay.
but I will find out before then for you.
Anything else on that one, Greg?
No. I'm annoyed that I even asked.
But
the
if you do look
you
at
have
I'm
the
actually annoyed at myself that I asked.
dwelling on a separate lot occupied by not more than one family is also a yes in that district,
Wait a minute.
when most of the other stuff is special permit. I mean, there's more that's yes, that's not yes. Like line 1 versus line 2. So I think it's probably, and the fact that the title of the article says correct a typographical error.
Transitional
It gives-
commercial is what TC is, and it's, looks like it's like that Route 18 corridor,
Okay.
and then in that area.
Gives me the impression that it was supposed to be yes all along.
I
but
think
they-
you're right.
But they typed in SP.
Yeah, because I don't believe there
But we
were
can-
like any big changes in any of their proposals. I think they were just all housekeeping stuff. But,
So ground-mounted solar looks like it's just a wording change.
I believe that
From
they are.
small-scale roof-mounted solar to small-scale ground-mounted or small-scale roof-mounted.
Yeah, I think that that was one of the ones Liz says that they may be not going forward with,
Okay.
but we'll find out.
Then Article 25, if everyone's good with 23 and 24. Article 25, amend dimensional and density regulations. Adding the note, any proposed structure or accessory structure shall have a minimum distance of 10 feet from any type of easement.
I believe that's another one that they voted to pass over. Oh, yeah, look, planning board recommends to pass over.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm not even gonna comment
The
on it.
the selectmen endorsed it, though.
I know. They know nothing about zoning.
Anyone have anything else on that one? Article 26 is a butter notice requirements. Striking the word related to public hearings, striking the words shown below in order to comply with state law. And it's striking whichever distance is greater from the abutter, let's see. Land abutting to the abutter.
Of the
Of the abutters, that's a lot of abutters
Right.
in a row. Or within 300 feet of the lot of land in question. So the land abutting to the abutter of the abutters. So your neighbor's neighbor's neighbor. Either your neighbor's neighbor or your neighbor's neighbor's neighbor. Or 300 feet.
We want everybody to know if you're gonna go in front of the Board of Appeals, Vinod,
So,
which is fair.
anyone have anything on that one? Does not appear to have any financial impact, so not too worried about
Unless you're
it from
buying
our,
the stamps
from our
for the butters.
perspective, yeah. Establish a revolving fund for EV charging station maintenance.
Yeah, so, I don't know if you
Do we have-
noticed.
We have the EV charging stations out here,
We
right?
do.
And those are town
We own them.
employee use only or
There are
anybody use?
People come and use them quite a bit.
Okay.
They find them on an app, I don't know.
There's
Do you have an
a,
electric car? You must have an electric car.
I did, I don't
You do?
have, I don't anymore.
So I guess there's an app that you use?
There's a couple, yeah. Charge Point, Plug Share, there's a few.
So I guess we're on that app. We have those ones, and we have actually others that we're looking to put in. The other ones are a different company. These ones we own. We put them in with a grant. I think to date, we probably, I think she did maybe $500 this year, she said, we brought in. But we have to have a service contract right now, and I think the service contract is gonna be $1,000 a year, so. That's all this is. And so we have a place, because now that we're generating the income, place to put it.
Place to put the
and a place to
income that it will then get taken out of to pay for the
pay for the
maintenance.
service, Right.
All right. Anyone, any questions on that? 28 was the sale of the house on the Strawberry Valley property, which we talked about. Anyone have any last stuff for that for tonight?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can Strawberry Valley, can they just buy the house? And it's theirs and we get the money and it's just done?
I don't think so.
Since Strawberry Valley is a department of the town, I
Oh,
think.
it is?
Yes.
The land is technically under the care and custody of the Board of Selectmen. And to purchase the land, I think we would probably have to, it would have to go to town meeting as an article, and we'd be
And-
buying it from ourselves.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't,
I
Yeah,
didn't
it
realize.
yeah, so no, a few years back, that switched over to being, instead of hiring a company to run the course and everything about it. It became a town department, and we've been running it, and they've been
They're killing
making
it.
a pretty good profit every year. So,
They definitely pay for themselves.
yeah,
I just assumed they were like a private business.
no, nope, it's a town-owned course, but in recent years, it's gone from just town-owned and operated by someone else to town-owned and operated. So,
They do a great job. Place is
They really
nice.
do.
I got a hole in one.
You did
Really?
not.
I did.
Was it on-
In front of my kids.
was it on the putting?
Really?
No, it wasn't.
Is it on the wall?
That was aggressive. It was on number 8.
Did you go in and set everybody up at the soda machine?
I was gonna say, was it on?
No, because I always take the last tee time because I'm with my 2 little kids and I'm always like, I don't want to mess with anybody behind me. So we were the last and
Well, at least you have witnesses, that's all.
they
that
thought they
matters.
were on like Dude Perfect going crazy.
But
Wasn't on the dog.
there's also,
Yeah.
it's town-owned property, and there's something, there's a way to borrow money against it. You know what I mean? Strawberry Valley?
To borrow, to use it for, well, I mean, we're pretty good for money. I mean, we don't borrow money against anything. We bond stuff.
We've done it before where we were able to, I'll have to look it up. But just,
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
I don't know.
at one time when we were in dire straits, we were able, you had to, it was truly an act of Congress, like you had to petition, and I think it was $25,000 or $50,000.
What did we borrow it for?
I don't know, borrow
buy
might
a
not be
paint
the
machine.
correct term. It has to do with, because it is, not recreation, but green,
Open
Oh.
space.
is it the revolving account? We were able to take money out of the golf enterprise by petitioning to do that. We needed it for the budget in 2010 or 2011.
We borrowed out of the
2010.
enterprise.
And you were able to use the money out of that. Just, if you're at trivia.
Interesting.
Is-
Wonder how much is in there now?
Well, it's whatever they collect, right?
How much?
500K.
500K?
Take it out of there instead of stabilization.
And you can petition to use the money, but whatever you used at the time, we were trying to fund Park and Rec somehow.
No.
And I think we petitioned to take the money out of the golf enterprise in order to use it to fund Park and Rec, alleviate one. Instead of spending money for Park and Rec from here, we could spend it from there in order to fund this to that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one?
No? I think,
Sarah, anything? Okay. That's the last warrant article. Warrant is closed.
warrant is closed. We won't be adding articles. I think there's a little,
There might be some,
there's some typos and some numbers missing in massaging, which I think will happen when we end up having the warrant, the meeting.
yep.
And then I think you'll have one more meeting after that to vote, finish the votes.
Yeah,
and then post it.
we'll vote next week. We'll have the week after that to take up any votes that we might have not finished or not made and potentially revisit anything. But that meeting, the 26th, is when we need our final recommendations in.
We're down to the wire.
since we're discussing that, I'm gonna do a quick check. Everyone available the next 2 Wednesdays? 19th and 26th? Sarah's nodding yes.
Yes.
Abby's a yes. Barbara?
Matt, my current situation, I am not 100% sure, but I can always figure out a way to get on virtually
I appreciate
if
that
I
very
can't be there
much.
in person.
How's your calendar?
Let's say something crazy, I'll figure it out.
Yep. Well, that's good. We'll, if everything holds, we'll have a quorum both nights, so.
Hopefully Chris will be back and
Yep, Chris should be back next week. We'll see if we hear from Marty or Sean. Knock on wood, hopefully they're okay. All right, any liaison reports?
No.
Barbara, anything?
I got nothing. The only thing I was gonna bring up was if, I don't know if Scott already plugged the informational on the trash informational. I know it's been all over social media, but
well, that is the 26th. I did not plug it. I will be there before I make it here.
All right.
Andrew will be here to help you take your votes.
um,
Oh, go ahead.
again, where is it that being held?
So actually, on the 26th, it will be held at the senior center. And then I am doing one, a smaller sort of version of it on the 29th, 10:30 in the morning at the library. So there'll be
Okay,
2
on,
opportunities before
trash
town meeting.
issues.
Yep, just to talk about trash,
Trash talking.
trash talk.
All right. There was no correspondence, but we do have enough people to vote on 2 sets of meeting minutes tonight. It's the first time we've had enough people to vote on them in a bit. So we have the meeting minutes from January 15th, which were provided to us a little while ago.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion from
Second.
Greg and a second from Barbara. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes from January 15th of 2025? Without any, all those in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstaining? It is
I
unanimous.
abstain. I wasn't here.
Oh, shoot. Can't vote on that one. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. There's
Oh,
another
sorry.
one. There's another one that we can vote.
Ah.
Okay, sorry.
I will rescind my motion
Rescind your
to
second.
approve.
It was Greg's motion.
I will
Oh, no, it was
definitely
Greg's
rescind.
motion to approve. I'll rescind my
Greg
second.
rescinds, Barbara rescinds the second. Let me try that again with the correct file up in front of me. We have meeting minutes from January 8th.
Oh, that's what I thought you said the whole time. January 8th.
So we have
Second.
Motion to approve.
motion from Greg. Say it again, Barbara. Or anyone else?
I'll second.
Second from Abby. Sorry, Barbara, you seconded before Greg actually motioned that time.
Oh,
So any discussion on the January 8th meeting minutes? Without any, all those in favor of approving the January 8th minutes?
Aye.
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 All those opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous, the minutes are approved for January 8th. The other set that we have enough people for, the exact same people, was the January 22nd meeting.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes
Oh,
of
wait.
January 22nd.
Hold on, sorry. Nope, Chris was at that one. Sorry, wait, no, it's the amended January 22nd minutes. Sorry, we had 2
The
sets.
amended January 22nd.
2 sets
Yeah.
of January 22nd minutes. One of them did not list Greg as being present. The amended minutes from January 22nd.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Greg,
Second.
second from Barbara. Any discussion on the minutes? Without Without any, all those in favor of approving the amended minutes from January 22nd, say aye.
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 All those opposed, abstaining, the minutes from January 22nd are approved. Thank you very much. That is the extent of minutes that we can approve. As we discussed, our next meeting is next Wednesday, March 19th. Our meeting after, we will definitely vote on all of the warrant articles, or as many as we can get through that night. Final vote on the budget, either that night or the week after. And that is all we have for tonight. It's at 9:45. We're 15 minutes under my projection to my wife for when I would be done.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn from Greg. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second from Sarah, who beat Barbara by a split second.
Ooh, that was quick, Sarah.
Any discussion? Without any, all those in favor of adjourning? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.